There you go, everyone. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Good to be back. We're here yet again. It's another show. It's another day. It's the start of the week, and I love the start of the week because so much shit happens on the weekend. Like, I mean, a ton of stuff happened on the weekend. We had crazies getting evicted from fake churches, which will be a lot of fun to cover. We're going to talk about long-term health care. We're going to talk about health care in this province because that took it for a shitter this weekend, which is a lot of fun. We're going to deal with that. We're going to talk about Pierre, Poilievre, and breakfast. That'll be fun today. We're going to talk about blackface. We're going to talk about Catcher in the Rye. And we have a shitload of videos to show you today. Please welcome to the program with myself. And JB, SheepKing JB, he'll be along in a few minutes. He's going to be by around 4 o'clock to talk about this Ottawa church, this fake church.
He had to go get some new lights for the dungeon,
the D&D dungeon. Yeah, he did.
D&D dungeon. So,
and he's got a special surprise for you today. He told me too, which is really nice. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I thought that was really cute.
Me a cock ring?
I don't know if he's going to send you a cock ring, but he said he's going to have something for you the second he comes on the show. I don't know what it is, but it was specific. He told me to tell you that you're really going to like him today. And I'm like, what?
I already like the guy.
Oh, I know you do.
Like, we're already there.
Yeah.
So this
but
is just
he's got something for you today, which is
all
exciting.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Just getting in my lunch. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're eating on the show. What do you got there? Is that a raisin bagel with some jam on it? You got a little jam on a raisin bagel?
It's a blueberry bagel with some
it?
peanut butter and some raspberry jam.
I don't know if there's anything better than a blueberry bagel with peanut butter and raspberry jam, to be honest with you. You get a little taste of the blueberry, you got the jam, you got the peanut butter, the salt, the sweet. It all works. Plus, fuck, I don't know about you, but me too. I love bagels. More than anything. It's my favorite bread.
Every day.
Do you really?
There's very few days I go without a bagel. I'm a bagel guy.
Yeah. No, you're often having a bagel sandwich, maybe a bagel with some spread on it, maybe just a bagel with some butter. I often see you eating a bagel, but wouldn't be a show if you weren't having one right to start. So I'm really glad you.
We have a toaster in the control room. It's a long story, but we toast. We have a George Foreman grill.
Do you really?
And a toaster.
Just in case someone wants to make a quick panini before they go on the air. Is that it?
Our engineer just hates us
because it always smells like sandwiches in there. Which, by the way, I put out a tweet the other day. Sandwiches are fucking highly underrated. I had a couple sandwiches this weekend, and I'm like, you know what? I need to have more sandwiches. Like, this is just and I started getting creative with it. Like, I put some nice cheeses together with a nice Dijon, some onions, some tomatoes, some turkey, some lettuce, and I'm like, fuck, I don't sandwich enough.
You don't?
Nowhere near enough. No, not enough.
I will tell you this. My wife, when she goes away, quite often, she will make numerous things for me and freeze them. Like she'll make like a hamburger soup or something, and then I'll buy some buns or something, and I'll have that. And or she'll put together, some kind of a crock pot for me when she goes away. But quite often, if she doesn't have time, which looks like that's because she's got to take the daughter to Vancouver this weekend. She's moving her down. And she hasn't had a lot of time. We've been busy. We're shopping for a house. It's just been nuts. Anyway, I'm going to be on my own. I will eat eggs and sandwiches for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I might go out and grab some wings or something.
But just eggs and sandwiches, that's your staple. Unless your wife makes you like a couple of courses and puts them in Tupperware and says, just heat this, then heat that, and you'll have a meal. You just go straight eggs and sandwiches. Do you put eggs on the sandwich? Have you had an egg sandwich before?
You know what? Every once in a while I will, but it's generally, that's something that I usually order. Like an egg on a burger, I won't shy away from. Like if it's a specialty burger,
delicious
joint. But I'm not doing that at home. No.
I've started to. I've started to do the because I'll make burgers and then I'm like, fuck, where's the egg? Let's get the egg, put a nice runny egg on top of this bitch, and
Yeah.
let's put some mac sauce, some onion. Let's put a little lettuce. We'll put it underneath, like on the bottom, maybe a little tomato. I don't know. I'm in this sandwich thing where I'm like, what else can I put on this thing? Some pepperoncini, maybe some hot peppers. I don't know. I'm just starting to live it up in the sandwich world. It's like I lost touch with sandwiches for years, right?
Well, you actually cook though too,
Yeah, I
right?
do.
You got the boys.
Yeah.
So you guys actually you do meal prep, right? Whereas
right.
I've never really had to do that. That's why I'm stuck on this, order a pizza, grill a steak on the barbecue,
Yeah.
eat a bagged salad, or it's sandwiches and eggs, sandwiches and eggs, sandwiches and eggs. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of meal prep.
No.
Right?
No, dude, and I'm the same. I have to because I've got kids, right? And they're all at home and they're older, but they don't fucking do anything.
Do they help?
No, zero. Like zero help.
Hmm.
That's not true. If I ask them to help, they do. But just like, hey, put this salad bag in the bowl, and they're like, okay, so they'll just put the salad in the bag in the bowl, and then go, what now? And I'm like, well, you got to fucking open it up, genius. Like that's the first thing you got to do. You got to open up the bag, and then you got to pour it. My son did that the other day. No word of a lie. They put the salad in the bag in the bowl. He's like, all right, put the bowl in the salad in the bag. Like you got to open the bag, and then you got to pour it in, then you got to open up the other packages, and you got to put the croutons on, and then you got to mix it up. And he's like, oh, so much work. I'm like, are you fucking serious? These bag salads saved your life. They save my life every day. Do you remember back in the day when you used to have to make a salad from scratch?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Who does that now? Not a single human being I know. You do?
We do in our house. My wife makes salads like a couple of times a week. So we're constantly
like real salads, like she'll get the onion, she'll get the cucumber, she'll get the tomato, she'll get the lettuce, and she'll chop it all up.
She has salad books.
Oh, that
and there's it's chicken in there. And last night she made shish kebabs, chicken and bacon wrapped in with like onions and tomatoes, cooked on the barbecue. And then she made this. I don't even know what the sauce was, but it looked like a peppercorn sauce or something. Mm-hmm. She made this dressing, delicious, and then made like a romaine lettuce salad, and it was fucking awesome. And then we put the salad down on the plate, and then we put the kebabs on top of it, and had that for dinner. It was so good. Yeah. We're very creative with the salads in this house.
I didn't know that. That's just too much work for me.
You know what?
I don't feel like cutting up 40,000 vegetables. Just dump it in the bowl. Let's go.
I had a friend who was always on the fad shit, right? Mm-hmm. Fad diets, working out, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. And for years, every time I'd meet him, he's like, "What's the new one? All I'm eating is fish." Right? Like it was always something fucking new, like the newest. What are you? I'm keto. Jesus Christ.
I gave up bread. Now I just do quinoa. Like those guys.
I know. Yeah. Like he was always on to something. And we've never fucking done any of that. Like I've never gone on some weird diet. I've never dieted. We've eaten the way we've eaten. And anyway, the point of the story was he was visiting us about 4 or 5 years ago, before COVID, him and his girlfriend, and we had a meal, and he was here for like a weekend. Right. And he goes, you know what? You guys, I've been doing a lot of research about balanced meals. And he goes, you guys really eat well. I'm like, it's not rocket science. You put a protein on there, you put a little bit of fucking rice, and you have a vegetable, right? And you don't eat like you have 7 assholes. And I think you're going to be okay. I think most people know that if they eat like a fucking asshole, they're gonna get fat.
Gonna get fat. Yeah. Then
you're
gonna have to go on one of those fucking crazy diets, and it's overwhelming, and you don't want to do it. But yeah, I'm like you. That's how I lost weight. It was just like eating normally. Like it wasn't like, I'll have fucking 6 ice cream sandwiches after I have 14 slices of pizza. Just wasn't for me.
Well, that's the weed.
Yeah. Well, that was the weed too. Or I'll have an entire lemon cake after I have this burger and 2 pounds of fries.
Don't get me wrong.
Not chase it with a lemon cake.
I will go on an asshole eating thing every once in a while where I'll go downstairs with a bag of chips, and I'll take the chips down there and a little bit of salsa, and I'll be like, all right, okay, here we go. I'm going to have a handful of these before dinner.
Yeah,
And then the next thing you know, I eat the entire fucking bag. Pistachios are bad. Like I'll sit downstairs with the pistachios and I'll go, when this bowl is filled up with shells,
I'm not gonna fill it up again.
Yeah, but that never.
And you fill it up again. Yeah, you're the same way. I'm the exact same way.
And
where I'll be like, I'm just gonna take a little tiny so you get a big bag of trail mix. That's my new thing, a trail mix, because my kids are like,
trail mix is good.
Dad, just have something healthy at night. I'm like, how's trail mix? They're like, good, but just don't get the bag with the Smarties. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm going to get the bag with the Smarties. So I got the one with the bag with the Smarties, and I'm like, just put it in a little bowl. But what I do is just because I'm like, I'll limit myself. Like, because I eat like an asshole at night. Dude, men do, right? We just eat like assholes. We eat like jerks. We're like, I'm going to have as much of this as I can. I might make myself sick, but my God, I'll put myself in a coma. So you get the trail mix, and I put it in a little bowl, but then I bring the entire 2-kilogram bag of trail mix over with me to the coffee table, just so I can dip the bowl back in and fill it up 4 or 5 more times, maybe.
Yeah.
So in actuality, I'm eating half a bowl of trail mix and picking out all the Smarties and eating those mostly. So there are no Smarties left in my kids' trail mix. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I mean, again, like I said, we all, and I don't think you should feel guilty. You shouldn't punish yourself because you had a bowl of ice cream at night, right? Like we had one comment there. Michelle, I think, was like, eats well, but has the occasional bowl of ice cream. We're all going to do it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Just
absolutely
try not to do what Dean and I do. Like I'll eat that whole bucket.
Yeah.
There's some stuff I'm like, my wife, just don't bring it around the house.
Because I have to eat it.
Because I might eat the entire fucking, right?
I don't think we're alone. And I think our next guest actually has something to say about that and much more. Please welcome, tireless advocate for people in long-term care. Maybe the only person who actually seems to give a shit about how terrible the for-profit conditions are in this province in Ontario right now, and the skullduggery that our boy Doug Ford is up to. And I wanted to bring her on the show because he's a very good friend of mine. She also is a little snacky as well. So please welcome Dr. Vivian Stamatopolous, ladies and gentlemen. You should tell these guys about your snack drawer.
I have a problem. I do have a problem with snacking. It's you guys think you're bad? No. You haven't seen anything. It's a problem. I don't have many vices. I don't, I'm not a big drinker. I don't do drugs, but sugar is my problem.
You should drink more. B, drugs aren't terrible. You should give those a shot. But C, tell me about your snack drawer. Tell me about your snack drawer, Viv. What do you got in there? Do you have like a dedicated drawer? Because I do. I've got a dedicated
of course I have a dedicated drawer. What do you got? Yeah, of course I do. I always have popcorn in there. I always have some form of chocolate, usually either chocolate covered almonds, that tier. And I do the Smarties trail mix all the time. And I always pick out the Smarties. It has to have the chocolate in there or I don't want it. And then there's usually like candy. So there'll be like, I have red feet right now, a nice big bag of red feet, but you name it, sour keys, sour jujubes. No, that's the mouth. The kisses are the cinnamon.
Oh, the hot lips. Yeah,
the hot lips. I don't do the hot lips.
The red feet are like cherry flavored or something.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah. So all of that stuff, sour keys, sour jujubes, all of it. I do tiers.
What about candy corn?
Chocolate, salty.
Do you do it? You like candy corn? Because so here's the thing. Because you and I are friends. We hang out from time to time. You and I both have talked about the snacks, but you have this thing where you take flyers on snacks. Well, you'll go into like a store and you'll see a 2-kilogram 4-year-old bag of candy and go, I'm gonna see what it's got in there. I'm gonna buy it right now.
Yeah, probably won't taste it.
You do that, don't you? You roll the dice on cheap candy.
100%.
Everyone needs a vice though, and
yeah, it's mine.
You don't. If you don't have something in your life, I'm okay with the sugar. I will say this though, and I've been trying to tell my kids this for years. I think we've done everybody a service over with sort of the public being aware of the issues with alcohol and drug use and things like that. I think the next big one is going to be sugar. I think it's just the devil. I think it is. I think it is, and I think it is the root of so many issues with health and with eating in our country.
Yeah.
I'm talking more specifically about my one daughter that I'm concerned about the most is the one that when she goes to the coffee shop, she comes home with something new all the time, and it's never effing coffee. Like it's always a bucket of something, and it's just pure sugar. And
why are you making this about a health play here? We're trying to have fun and talk about the Mount Rushmore of candy. We're trying to like degrade people for their candy choices, and you're like,
but it is a problem.
It's going to be the next big epidemic. We're going to be fucked.
I do it too. I do it too, but I do worry about I try to limit. You know when I started to lose weight, Dean? When I stopped putting sugar in my coffee.
Yeah.
I just put a little cream in there.
Good for you. Way to go.
It's a start. It's a start.
But I used to do the double-double. I was like 265.
No.
Yeah.
And
I think don't drink your calories, but like it's like any vice. Like Dr. Viv, she's hard on me for my vaping. Well, not hard on me, but she pointed out
a little hard.
the other day. You're a little hard on. You pointed out you're like, you just traded one vice for the other when you quit drinking, and it like hurt my feelings a little bit.
I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I want you to be healthy and live long.
Shit all the time. He just ignores us. He pounds on that vape. Some days she's hard on it. Hey.
Yeah. Okay, so let's back it up to the candy. You get one candy to take with you, Desert Island. Viv, what is it? Or like maybe the Mount Rushmore of candy. You get 4. Let's do 4. Mount Rushmore. What are you taking with you? You can only take 4 things. That's it. The last 4 candies.
Either chocolate-covered almonds or like chocolate-covered marshmallows, like any of those kind of treats I really like. Sour keys.
Oh.
Some version of chips. I need at least 1 bag of chips.
Dill pickle, salt and vinegar? No.
I like ketchup. I like barbecue.
Nobody likes ketchup chips.
I love ketchup. I'm going with ketchup then. I'm going with ketchup. And
what else?
Maybe beef jerky.
Oh,
do you like some beef jerky?
Yes, me too.
I feel like you need some protein there.
Yeah. Like a snack. We're not talking candy. We're just talking snacks, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not great for you, but.
But you know what? How we do that all the time. We do this all the time. We're like, it's not great for you. That's
I got mine.
For you. Nothing's great for you. Nothing's like wheat germ. No one's gonna pick wheat germ.
They're not. Some broccoli
and juicing to take to the island. No one's gonna go. Well, I'd like to feel like $1 million when I go there. So, and I don't want diabetes, even though no one's showing up. Nobody picks those in. What are yours, Lock? What are yours?
Okay, mine. Score bar for sure.
Yeah,
that's good.
Corn chips.
Mm-hmm.
I like the chocolate covered peanut M&Ms.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've been dipping my toe into some of the other ones, like they have different stuff in there. Like they got like fudge in there now, and like the peanuts. The peanuts are good. I would go with the chocolate covered M&M peanuts, and then movie popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Movie theater popcorn.
Movie theater popcorn.
Got to be at the movie theater.
Yeah.
I enjoy popcorn at home, but there's just something about that popcorn
there's no contest.
at the movie.
Yeah. No contest.
Yeah.
First of all, all of your choices are garbage. Second of all, no one has picked a pastry. Not one person. Banana bread, number 1, right here. I'll eat it all the time.
I like banana bread.
What's up with the pastries? Timbits. No one's picked Timbits.
I have them every morning.
Do you really?
Tart.
You have Timbits every single morning?
Every single morning.
You just go and grab a couple of Timbits, or do you just have them on hand?
No. It's next level. So I freeze them. So I'll get I buy them in bulk and I freeze them, and they're ready every morning. It's a problem. It's a problem. Very aware of it. Yeah.
Wait a second. So you'll buy like 1 million Tim Hortons big Timbits?
And I put them in little packs of 2 to 3, and I take it out.
You have a problem. Yeah. I love you. Hey, what did you think of the Bieber's balls?
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the ones that I have in my freezer right now. The birthday cake waffle are my favorite.
Really?
I'm obsessed with them. Obsessed. Yeah.
What did you have before Bieber did his Timbits?
Sour cream.
Just sour cream?
I like the
That's
sour
like
cream.
the poor man's Timbit.
I like the chocolate glazed.
I used to like chocolate, and I got sick of them weirdly. I don't know. I used to all the time.
It was because you eat them every day.
Yeah,
Probably.
because you had 4,000 of them.
Probably.
And she's so skinny too. She's one of those people. Who
I
everybody
know.
just
I
goes,
was.
leave it alone. You are. Admit it.
It's because I'm wired like this. I burn it off by being hyper. And I walk a lot. You know this.
Yeah. We go for walks sometimes.
I walk. I walk a lot. That's my, that's my exercise. I get.
Are you saying you're a spaz? Because I heard you're not allowed to use the word spaz anymore. It's like a bad word.
It is a problematic word. I'm hyper. I've always been I'm hyperactive. I've always been hyperactive.
What is spaz? What's the problem with that now?
I don't know. I just heard yesterday. I think from you, Viv. You're like, we're not allowed to say that word anymore.
It is problematic. Yeah, there was a Beyonce song, I believe, that she had that song in there, and then there was obviously.
Backlash.
Yeah, and then she swapped it out. So, yeah.
Dean told me to ask
just so you know, I'm still saying
allowed,
but that's okay.
Dean told me to ask you if we're allowed to make fun of monkeypox. Now I'll tell you my story.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about long-term care?
Yeah, we are. We're getting right to it.
We will get there. We'll get there. But I need your opinion. You're a doctor.
I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot give you that kind of advice.
Yeah.
Dean specifically told me to ask whether or not.
Of course he would. Dean, can you stop being a troublemaker?
He's making this up.
He said on Friday we got Dr. Vivian. Dr. Vivian's coming in on Friday, and you need to ask her if we can have fun with the monkeypox disease.
No, I never did. Although I will say this, Vivian and I have talked about it and whether or not you can talk about monkeypox. Remember last week we're like, oh, maybe I did. I said maybe you should. You're right. I did say you should ask Dr. Viv about.
Yeah, you totally did. He's totally throwing you under the
bus
here.
Troublemaker.
Totally.
I'm now.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened, Dr. Vivian.
Oh gosh, I'm nervous here. Okay.
I'm dealing with something right now. I got some kind of a chest throat infection. I've had it for like a week and a half now. Last week I tested a couple times for COVID. I don't have COVID. And then I was coming home from work and I was not feeling good. And I'm like, I better go to the doctor. So I went into the walk-in clinic just to make sure I don't have strep, because I know if I have strep, I got to take like antibiotics or something to get rid of it. And so I'm in the doctor's office. He does the, looks in my ears, looks in my nose, and he goes, okay, well, we'll do a swab and I'll test you for strep. If you don't hear from me in 2 days, you don't have it. And he's putting the whatchamacallit in there too. He goes, we'll also test to make sure you don't have monkeypox. And then I kind of looked at him quickly to see if he was joking, and he goes, I'm kidding. I'm messing with you. And I went, hold on.
It's not a great
Are we allowed to make fun of monkeypox? Because I didn't think we were allowed to make fun of monkeypox.
We're not.
Well, I don't know if you're making fun of it. I don't know why he would say that. I don't understand. Maybe
it was very funny. And maybe my doctor is a little off color, right?
Yeah.
But then I said, okay, if my doctor's making fun of monkeypox, it's all in. We're all in. Let's do it. It's a funny name. Let's do this.
No disease is funny. No disease is funny.
Ramsey Hunt's pretty funny sometimes.
No, stop it, both of you. Stop, Dean. No disease is funny. No.
Is Clubfoot
Clubfoot's funny.
No.
If I had clubfoot, I would find that very funny.
What about that disease where someone wakes up and they speak in a different accent? Is that funny?
That's fucking hilarious.
What are you talking about right now?
It's a thing. Like, sometimes it happens.
Oh.
Yes. The guy wakes up. He's from Alberta. He lives in like Lethbridge, and then he hits his head in a motorbike accident, wakes up, and he knows he's fluent in Chinese.
He's Spanish. Yeah.
Or Spanish.
No,
it's always Spanish.
I'll have to take your word on that. I didn't read that case. I'll take your word on that.
I know somebody who had diabetes, lost his foot, and now does videos with it. It's in his freezer at home. That's funny.
That's not
real.
That's
a true story. He talks to it. It's his friend. His foot's in his freezer.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's fun. No, Viv?
That's hilarious. I'll send you the video, Dr. Vivian.
Anyway, Dr.
I'll wait
Vivian
for the video. Okay.
Stamatopolous. She is a professor. She is just this tireless. I said it last week. You're a warrior. You advocate for people in long-term care, advocate against bad practices in long-term care. And Ontario has a shitload of that because we privatized it several years ago. And if you haven't followed Dr. Vivian, I highly suggest you do. At Dr. Vivian S on Twitter is where you can find her. you and I talked a little bit this weekend, which is why I wanted to have you on the show. And I wanted to have you on so you could kind of explain to me how this whole thing is working. Now, everybody knows in Ontario, really it's countrywide, but in Ontario, this is a microcosm of a crumbling healthcare system. ERs are closing. My local ER on Friday sent a note to everybody via the news, and they're like, hey, if you're sick, just don't come here this weekend. That was the whole. They're like, don't bother coming. Go somewhere else. See if you can figure it out. Hang in there till Tuesday if you can. That kind of shit. I'm not even kidding you.
I know. I saw.
Yeah. So I told my kids, I'm like, hey, guys, if you plan on getting hurt or sick this weekend, just know Markham Stouffville's closed. They don't want anybody there. And they're like, how can a hospital close? And so I explained to them the staff shortages, the wage capping, how Doug Ford and his cronies really kind of shoved an ailing healthcare system over the ledge. And they have a solution, right? Addressing that solution is where you come in, because that's where that solution bleeds into long-term care. So what is that solution, and what is happening, and why, Dr. Viv?
It's really bad. It's really bad. It's probably the worst thing that they've ever done so far, at least in my opinion. Yeah, you think it can't get worse, and then it does. So in the hospitals, we have ALC wards, alternative level of care. I mean, this could be anyone from, seniors that are waiting for long-term care and have been deemed at crisis at their home. They just can't, they're not safe at home. There might not be family to help care for them at home, whatever it is. And usually it starts with there was a fall or some sort of emergency that got them in the ER, and then they weren't, deemed safe to go home. So then they were transferred often to these separate ALC wards. And there's also people waiting for rehab, people waiting for palliative care. So it's not just people waiting for long-term care. And now what they're doing, usually this process of being admitted into long-term care, which is traumatic to start with, you have a list of 5 homes that you put. And ideally, they can't, up until this point, send you to a home outside of that list because, it's family's choice and it's your medical choice to consent to where you feel safe, and you do the homework and you pick homes that are, in your neighborhood, near your family, that are, and most people now are picking, especially municipal homes if they can. They historically have the longest wait list because they have the best patient resident outcomes, and then non-for-profit homes. And now it's the for-profit homes that really seem to be struggling to fill their beds. And remember, if they don't fill their beds to 98% capacity, they don't get the government money. Right, because they're subsidized. This is subsidized long-term care, retirement home.
For-profit is subsidized.
Yeah. All of it is long-term care. All of it is
really.
And unfortunately, over the years, it used to be more non-for-profit care and largely hospital care, and then over the years, and Mike Harris was a big part of this shift to really privatize long-term care. When he had the ability in the 90s to build 20,000 beds, and what he did was give $1 billion of those, $1 billion worth of beds to the for-profit sector, and that's what really kickstarted our for-profit market model of long-term care dominance. Right, we have the most privatized long-term care across Canada. And that's really when it started, and it just got worse. So now we're at close to 60% privatized for-profit long-term care in Ontario.
So can I just ask you a couple questions just to kind of recap? So Locke, just if you follow in I don't know if what it's like in Alberta. You might know. I just know in Ontario.
I don't know. I don't know what it's like in Alberta, comparatively speaking. But it wouldn't surprise me if we have a similar model just based on our political histories that are so closely aligned, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But in Ontario, how it works is all of our long-term care old folks homes, commonly known as old folks homes, group homes, long-term care homes,
nursing homes,
assisted living, nursing homes. Prior to Mike Harris being the premier of this province, they were all publicly owned, were they not? They were all owned by the government.
Yeah, most of them were.
So you had really nice homes, people going in, fresh flowers, bingo night. The level of care,
fresh food,
good, fresh food,
full-time workers.
So
majority nurses.
Yeah, pool, workout facility, Jello, all this stuff. Well, you got all this stuff.
Why I'm looking for a house.
It was state run, and when you're state run, you don't skimp because you're taking care of your elderly. You're making sure that. So Mike Harris repealed that and put basically said, hey, we're going to sell a bunch of these. We're going to privatize a bunch of these. But he did it for a bunch of his friends. Now, Mike Harris is vilified as one of the worst premiers in the history of politics for reasons like this, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm not mistaken as well, as soon as his tenure was over, he actually went and got a few cherry jobs, including one that he has now, working for these same people who he enriched when he privatized it. Chartwell, is that correct?
Well, he's on the board of Chartwell, yeah, making, I'm pretty sure, over $200,000 a year just for a part-time board job.
Okay. So he's just on the board. So what was the grift like back then? And then we'll get to now, kind of what they're going to be doing with these beds and why that you're ringing the alarm, because you're ringing the alarm for fucking something very serious. It's called medical consent.
It's really serious.
But did I kind of cover that properly? How they went and privatized, and now what appears to be?
Yeah, I mean, there was always private elements, but he really kickstarted the for-profit market model of dominance, right? So they weren't dominant before. It was him giving the majority of the beds during his tenure to the for-profit sector that really led us down this rabbit hole, this mess that we're in right now. And then we all saw what happened during COVID. The for-profit homes had by far the greatest COVID deaths, and that was when controlling for a variety of different factors. So, they can't say, because some of them try to say it's because we had ward rooms and it's the area around us and if there was community transmission. No, the Toronto Star debunked all of that. They controlled it for like 10 different variables, including removing the 10 homes with the worst death rates. Like we're talking the Orchard Villas, the Roberta Place, the Tender Care. Even after removing all of those, the for-profit sector had still far more deaths. I mean, it's a serious differential. And, people saw what happened. And there's a reason why there's been this whole movement to end for-profit long-term care. And unfortunately, nothing changed. We've all been fighting to really go where the evidence tells us we need to go to municipal and strictly nonprofit care. And yet we're still seeing the Ford government, help out these for-profit companies and renew their licenses for another 20 to 30 years. And the problem right now is, and what, some people have been saying that this seems, and Natalie Mayer of the Ontario Healthcare Coalition has really hit this point home that, again, the for-profits have been flailing to fill their beds during this post-COVID, if you want to call it, period, because people saw what happened and people are scared of for-profit. I mean, there's good reason for why people aren't putting these homes on their, top list of 5. So they're struggling to fill beds. And that's why other experts and family members have been saying, well, this looks like a ploy just to help the for-profits to fill their beds so that they can get funding and stay in business versus actually doing what we should be doing, which is
shutting them down.
I don't know, shut them down, expand the public sector. I mean, this care is best provided in the nonprofit realm. I mean, there's no debating that. The evidence is so clear and unequivocal, and it expands beyond Ontario, beyond Canada. And for decades, we have evidence of the failure of for-profit in long-term care, everywhere, really, in all healthcare. We know the failings. Just look to the U.S. for how privatized healthcare proper is a considerable mess, nightmare. It's the same issue with long-term care. Unfortunately, in Canada, for some reason, we allow this sector to be, to have this for-profit aspect, which we don't have with hospitals, right? It's a really disgusting anomaly. And now the government is allowing, by now historically removing the fundamental right to choose, by giving hospitals the authority to just force these ALC patients into any long-term care home that is, has a bed ready. And who are the homes? What homes, inevitably will have, availability? It's the ones that people don't want to go to. So you're effectively stripping people of their fundamental and historical right to consent, to choose medical consent. I mean, this is a big deal. And people need to wonder, it starts with our seniors and our persons with disabilities. You should all be horrified about that. But where does it stop? You're all next. I mean, this is a slippery slope. You're removing people's fundamental rights. And, you're doing it to the group that has been hurt the most during this pandemic. I mean, can you not kick these people while they're down? Have they not suffered enough? I mean, I don't know how you could send a clearer message to seniors in Ontario, particularly those with, chronic disabilities and care needs, that, you're acceptable losses. You don't have a choice. You aged into apparently losing your rights as a human being in Ontario. I mean, it is so abhorrent, and it makes you want to cry because it is so just wrong. It is morally repugnant and the most disgusting thing I have ever seen a government do.
So
how did it pass?
Can I recap that though, just real quick? So what Dr. Viv is kind of laid out for everybody because she's really smart. I need to bring it down to a language that our people will understand.
I think I got it. I'm the dumb guy on the panel.
I'm much dumber, and I just need to make sure that I have this stuff locked up. So, as a response to easing the healthcare crisis, Doug Ford is going to ship without consent. His plan is to ship anybody in assisted or long-term care that is taking up a bed they need in an ER or hospital institution.
They're not even in ERs, right? Like
just in a hospital environment.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to take some of those people out against their will, and they're going to force them to go and stay in a for-profit long-term care facility run by one of his friends so that they can hit that 98% vacancy quota so that they can get their government subsidy. Is that correct?
That is a situation that can happen now.
Okay, can I ask a question? Now I understand why no one would trust Doug, right? Fuck you, Doug. But here's a question. Did it pass, Dr. Viv, based on the fact that there is a crisis and they needed some kind of a solution? No. Okay.
No, it's complete nonsense because, we've talked about this and all the advocates have been saying, well, hold on, like you can't transfer the staff. So even if it made sense to, and it would never make sense to remove anyone's medical consent. But if it made any sense to even, try to give them more incentive to leave to homes of their choosing, let's say, in a less morally repugnant option, the point is that you can't share the staff. So the staff that house the ALC units are generally RPNs and PSWs. And indeed, many staff that left long-term care left to go work in acute care and in hospitals in these ALC units because they get paid more and there's more full-time work, right? So, but in the ERs and the intensive care units where they're shutting down, right, where the crisis is, those are very specialized staff, and you can't just transfer them. So it's not a fix, even if it could be, it's not a fix, right?
Okay.
So this is just a way to literally kick these poor seniors and persons with disabilities while they're down, and it's so fundamentally ageist and ableist to say, well, hold on, apparently, other people are more deserving of hospital beds. What are you talking about? Since when did people with disabilities and chronic care needs and seniors suddenly become devalued where they have less access to the same kind of care? Like, you're making a fundamental argument that is so unacceptable and just so horribly wrong and ageist and ableist. And remember, like, people don't know this. And, when you look back to the past, hospitals 30 years ago, what were long-term care today? I mean, they did the majority of long-term care, and they housed these individuals, and it was never deemed that they were, I hate the word bed blockers. That is a recent social construct, right? This has changed over time, where before this was what hospitals were like. You cared for a lot of these individuals, and most of the long-term care was run out of hospitals. So it has been a social construct that has developed over time, evolutionary, to say that suddenly these persons with chronic care needs and seniors don't deserve these beds. They're, blocking these beds, and that they somehow all of a sudden are the ones that deserve this care less or deserve a bed less. Like, who made the rules that said that apparently some people are more deserving of a hospital bed than others? Give me a break. The problems that are happening with the hospitals, those are long-standing issues, and Bill 124 is a big part of that. In addition to the private healthcare staffing agencies that are gouging the system and making people leave the work in hospitals because their wages are capped under Bill 124 and go to these agencies where they pay them more, and then pay them more because they're able to gouge the hospitals in return, which then hurts the hospitals. And it's a self-fulfilling vicious cycle where privatization is really the basis of all of this, right? If you invested in the public sector, you repealed Bill 124, you have to get back the nurses who left, you have to deal with retention, or else it's just the same problem over and over. It's literally turning into long-term care. And that's what we're seeing now. The problems in acute care are the problems that we've been dealing with in long-term care forever, especially during the pandemic. And the part that was so egregious for Minister Calandra to sit here and say in that press conference that, oh, well, I'm so happy that long-term care is in a position where they can now help, fix this problem. What are you talking about? We have homes that are shutting down because there's not enough staff to take care of the residents. We have homes that are being taken over because of neglect and abuse, and they're violating the long-term care legislation. We have chronic understaffing. I mean, this is well known. We have a third of the homes nearly an outbreak, and we don't have proper PPE. We haven't mandated proper infection prevention and control processes to mitigate this mess, this ongoing wildfire in long-term care. And yet you have the nerve to say that suddenly long-term care is in a great spot and we can help by offloading thousands of patients into these facilities where they will, make no mistake, have less and substandard care delivered to them in this context. So it is so inappropriate to try to even pretend this narrative that this is the solution to what's happening in hospitals when it isn't. All it is doing is exacerbating and further destabilizing long-term care. And it is going to hurt those patients who will be transferred into these homes. And it might not just be seniors being transferred into these homes, right? It could be people that are waiting for rehab, people waiting for palliative care. They're all, at the prey of this government's decision. And unfortunately, you ask, well, how can this happen? They have a majority. That's how it can happen.
Okay.
Fucking wild.
Can you
Did
fight
you
my
hear that,
speeding
Locke?
tickets for me?
No, you can't fight your speeding tickets.
I wish I could, but I can't.
I got like 6. I'll fly you to Alberta.
But what you're saying is
down to the courthouse.
Dude, did you hear what Dr. Viv kind of laid out?
I don't mean to make it feel like I am disrespecting the comments that you made. It's disgusting. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't think the public, I mean, I'm not in Ontario, so this is news to me. I don't have somebody that is of elderly status and is in the need of these services in Ontario, so it doesn't directly impact me. But I think what's happening is I don't think everybody has made the connection you have, even though it seems fairly obvious based on how you were explaining it, and you explained it very well. That the legislation that they're passing continues to create the situation that they're in, and unfortunately, I think what ends up happening a lot of times is, and I've said this out loud, I think there is a faction of the medical community, and every time I say this in Alberta, that wants the system to be privatized. And I think they create situations in the hospitals and through care that get us complaining about things like wait times and again, I know it sounds conspiratorial, but every time I've ever said anything like that out loud, I have a lot of people listening to my show. Anytime I've ever hinted at it, no one has ever disagreed with me. I think there's this idea that there is this huge pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if we take the medical system that we have here in Canada and turn it on its head and privatize it. And I think that is the path that some of these conservative governments want to go because of the potential money they see at the end of that rainbow, right?
The only people who benefit from a privatized healthcare system, plain and simple, are the owners and the shareholders and the people who will receive the dividends of that profit. Those are the only people. No patient will benefit in a privatized system. Yeah. They just won't. And you hear the frontline staff who are actually in the hospitals working, and they're just as horrified. Where I do think you hear this, and I pushed back the other day where on Sylvia Jones, Minister of Health in Ontario, she tweeted some support that came from the Ontario Medical Association that supports, I'll read it, the Ontario Medical Association supports the initiatives announced today by the government, which are aligned, blah, 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 by Alan Odette, CEO of OMA. And I about, my mouth just dropped when I saw that. And of course I tweeted rather angrily in all caps locks, like any doctor who thinks that this is acceptable to strip people of their fundamental human rights to medical consent, it does not belong in this profession, period. Shame on you. So, I think there's a difference between the people working in the hospitals and then the stakeholders that represent these organizations, so to speak, that work very closely with certain governments and certain groups, right? So I don't think they represent the majority of certainly doctors, but the fact that they would even put out something like that glaringly ignoring the fact that part of this 5-point plan involves stripping human beings of their constitutional right to consent is appalling and completely mind-blowing that would even be something that they would put out there. I mean, most doctors I've seen have been, pretty against this. I mean, I had one try to criticize me the other day about it, whatever. But
he tried to mansplain. The dude tried to mansplain it too.
That's what some have said. Yes, that there was just. I mean, listen, I'm totally fine with people debating me and people having an opinion, but please have a proper debate. Provide a substantive counterpoint. Don't just say this woman is wildly uninformed. Tell me why I'm wildly uninformed, because I've done my part to show why I'm very well informed, and there's no question that I'm well informed. I know what I know. The many stakeholder groups are right there beside me, including the Ontario Health Coalition, which, has only been representing the healthcare initiatives for decades. But okay, I guess, this one woman knows nothing. But at least debate me properly, and that's fine. But, it's also coincidental that apparently the director of comms for the Minister of Health liked that tweet attacking my, putting down my stance. So you got to wonder. Yeah. So, it's like the radar is there. If there's anyone that's debasing Dr. Vivian's stance, let's like it. So.
Well, you're wrecking their shit. That's the problem, is that you're telling everybody what they're doing. Hey, everybody, their solution to fixing healthcare in the province is to enrich their friends to fill long-term care for-profit beds with sick people who, with no concern for their well-being, no concern for their consent, none, zero, absolutely none. And it's not a fix. Like, you're sending them from a professional setting with highly educated people like RNs and doctors and like real nurses. And I take nothing away from people that love and do a great job as PSWs, but you're sending them into a situation where none of those professionals are. There are no doctors. There are no nurses. There are people that have certificates from community colleges and people that have worked into that program. A lot of people do really care. Like, we've got people that work with us that work in long-term care. Ashley, lovely. Probably she got Employee of the Month, by the way. Just letting you know, a couple months ago, she got Employee of the Month. There are lots of good people. But what I'm saying is,
on the Dean Blundell Podcast Network, Employee of the Month?
No. At where she works.
Okay, I was about to rant.
But my point, you deserve that too at some point.
But that's all linked to staffing, to how to make money, right?
Totally.
The privatized sector. It used to be nursing homes were called nursing homes because they were staffed primarily by nurses. But then over time, as the sector became increasingly privatized, they realized one of the quickest and most efficient ways to accrue profit is through cutting on staffing and changing the demographic of your workforce. And that's exactly what happened. So you went from predominantly nurses working in long-term care homes to now predominantly PSWs, right? Who are largely a racialized, exploited group of workers, women predominantly, many women that are new to Canada. And they are exploited based on the fact that they don't have nursing credentials and that are deemed, less training, less pay. It begets their lower pay, right? It's still, they do most of the work in long-term care. Who are we talking about? They're the ones that do the backbreaking work. There's no question, but they aren't provided, proper regulation. They have poor pay. I mean, I think they earn on average, under $40,000 a year. That's if they get a full-time job. And many of them have to cobble together 2-3 jobs at different homes to make it work. And that was also part of the reason why the COVID ripped through the homes in the first 3 waves pre-vaccines, because they had to work in different homes. And then they carried the virus inadvertently with them into the different homes. And that was well established all throughout the Long-Term Care Commission and a variety of different sources, right? So, and that's part of the problem. That's how you make money, is by trying to, race to the bottom and trying to exploit workers. And that's exactly what's happened in long-term care. I mean, as a case in point, in hospitals, you have, far more nurses. You have generally like one nurse for every 5 to 6 patients in a hospital.
Really?
In long-term care, that's the general stats that I saw from, I think it was RNAO posted that about 5 or 6 years ago. It's one of the most recent ones I could find. But, and it could go up to 8, obviously, during the pre-COVID times, and God knows what it is now. But just as a benchmark, in long-term care, they're only mandated to have 1 nurse per floor, essentially. So you can theoretically have 1 nurse only working for an entire long-term care home. It doesn't matter the size. So you barely see nurses in long-term care facilities, because of this horrible and just nonsensical regulation that makes it so that they don't have to hire as many nurses, right? So that they can hire lower skilled, right? So they say, and that because of the lower skill, then they pay them less, right? It's completely exploitative and it's deliberate. This is, textbook privatization through profit of, hurting your labor force. So this is what's happening. We have you could theoretically have one nurse for 200 residents in a long-term care home. So, I mean, just to try to show how different it is. So to even try to suggest, as Paul Calandra did, that they're going into facilities where they will be provided an appropriate standard of care is laughable, because they might not, the only nurses that they're going to meet are the ones that are going to be administering the medication, because that's largely what they do in these facilities, and take nursing notation. But it's PSWs that do the majority of the work, and there's no question about it. And unfortunately, they don't have some of the skills, obviously, the nurses have. So, and there was, a lot of preventable injuries, and this was not obviously on purpose. I'm not trying to blame workers here, but when you don't have the appropriate skill to care for a very medically complex population, you have medical error, and that is what happens all the time in long-term care, because we don't have enough staff that are trained properly enough to actually recognize the signs, for example, of dehydration or the signs of a heart attack, or just to look for signs of distress. And this is a very medically fragile and complex population, and we have somehow allowed it to be privatized out to just anyone who wants to treat it like, a Tim Hortons franchise.
Douchebags. Yeah.
It's really
Douchebags,
bad.
I think you're referring to. Go ahead, Locke.
Dr. Vivian
Viv's got to leave in a second. So
Yeah. One quick question. Is there, in your mind, is there something that could be done, like a simple thing that could be done that could help the growing problem? I mean, have you been presenting
in a hospital or long-term care?
Long-term care.
Oh, I mean, there's no question. Stop allowing, from this moment on, stop funding for-profit long-term care. Any new homes should only go to nonprofit, ideally municipal, regional ownership. Period. If you're looking at the evidence, that's what you have to do. But then, of course, there's little things you can do right now to mitigate the outbreaks that are still ripping through, right? Mandating N95s, bringing back the vaccine mandate. Why did they take that away? I mean, I just don't understand. Making sure they're doing more frequent rapid testing, because the last precautions that were put in place were by Rod Phillips. I don't even know if Paul Calandra has done anything in terms of added precautions since he took office. I don't think he has. But Rod had put in place a minimum of 2 times a week, weekly staff on visitor testing. And that's not enough in the context of Omicron and onwards, that is so highly transmissible. And then you wonder why it keeps getting in and then spreading. You can't stop it early enough. And then, of course, until you deal with the working conditions in these homes, nothing is going to improve. You need to properly train and pay the workers that work there. And that's how they stay. Right now, people are just in and out of a revolving door. And you're starting to hear this language, by the way, in hospitals. Now, you'll hear the hospital workers who are doing these interviews saying it's now becoming a revolving door. We've been saying this in long-term care for decades, right? Because you don't properly respect and train and pay your staff, and you don't give them full-time work. You don't give them work at one place, and they leave. They leave. Of course they would. And the fact that we don't have a minimum care standard right now in place, right? So they've promised 4 hours minimum of direct care per resident per day in the next 4 years. We need that right now. That would keep a lot of workers, because I'll tell you right now, the number one thing workers say to me, and Ryan's wife would say this too to me, that they leave mostly. I mean, of course, the terrible pay and the, is one thing, but what really upsets the workers is that they get in there and they have the best of intentions, and then they realize in this framework, I cannot properly provide care. And it is so upsetting for them to go to work every day and have to run in between, 20, 30 people they're in charge of and can't properly provide care. Then you see the injuries that happen, and then you see them suffering. You see these residents suffering, and you want to help. But the way this system is and the way the government enables this system to stay so substandard means they can't ever win. They're in positions that are designed to fail, and it's so frustrating that anyone would leave, and people always leave. So until you address the working conditions in these facilities and the training and equipping these people to actually be able to provide the care that these residents deserve, nothing will change.
Maddening. Dr. Viv, I know you got to go. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Give Dr. Viv a follow. If you've got a parent, a loved one in long-term care, if you're in the province of Ontario specifically, You're a warrior. You're the best. You're one of the great follows. You're one of the great people, one of the great advocates. And again, another incredibly strong woman who just stands there waving a flag while everybody that wants money from the government goes, shh, don't worry about it, Viv. We got this. Don't make so much noise. Keep making noise. You're a hero, and we appreciate you. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Nice to
gentlemen.
see you, Dr.
Have
Viv.
fun. You too.
See you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Take it easy on those big red feet today, by the way.
Shh.
Okay.
Okay.
I was
Bye.
serious about my speeding ticket thing.
Okay, I'll try to help.
She can't pay your
Okay.
speeding ticket. Although,
Gee.
if you're going to give your speeding ticket to anybody without a legal degree, I would give it to her.
I would get her to handle just about anything in my life. That was awesome. I see why you're friends.
Yeah, she's great. Bright.
Yeah. You like
super
strong women,
smart.
don't you?
Totally. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
I like to have smart people around me. I don't really care what they're all about, but she's incredibly bright. She's incredibly smart, super empathetic. And did you know this little known fact? Remember when COVID was really bad in the province of Ontario and they had to send the army into some long-term care / seniors facilities?
Well, that's because they were like 10 of them were dying a day.
Easily. Yeah.
They were dropping
Maybe
like flies. It was
like
really
30.
bad in Ontario.
Brutal.
Yeah.
And Doug Ford was like, don't worry, nothing to see here. Remember, there's like 10, 20 people, old people just cacking a day. That's why they can't fill beds, is because they killed them all in those for-profit long-term
Well, you'd
care
think
sector.
if you need 80% or you need 98%,
I want to keep them alive, man.
Keep those old dicks alive so you get your money.
Well,
no.
The fascinating part is the military that had to intervene in old folks or long-term care homes in this province were exclusively intervening in the for-profit homes. None of the municipal ones, none of the state-run ones. They were fine. Everybody was good. It's the for-profit. While they're sitting in their own urine, shitting their pants, falling out of bed, they were in some cases, taking doorknobs off of the rooms that these old folks were living in, so they couldn't get out. So they couldn't spread the virus to other workers while they were there. I am not kidding you. That these people, these poor people, are literally being funneled, herded like stray cats, and they don't give two fucks about them in this province because all they are paychecks to different facilities, right? They just look at a person and they go, bring that person into this shitty facility where we abuse people, and we'll get some government money for it. That's what it is.
So much bullshit right now in the world that we live in. I don't even have the capacity to try to reconcile what
try to understand it.
Yeah.
And that's all for money. It's all about money. These human lives are being put at risk, in jeopardy, being treated like dogs for money because Doug Ford's friends need money. They want more money. Give us some more money.
It's brutal.
It's fucking unbelievable. And that's your solution to fixing the healthcare crisis is get my friends some more money. That's a good one. I like that one. Anyway.
I mean, I would be scared shitless of Dr. Vivian. Like, are they not worried about her?
Yeah, they're totally worried.
Like, she looks like she's coming after them.
She's responsible for just by speaking the truth. It's not a concerted effort. She's not trying to crush them. She's just speaking the truth about what they're doing. And for-profit enrollment is way down, which is why they're doing this. Because she, along with some other kind individuals, are telling the truth about what's happening to our seniors and people in long-term care. And no one will enroll in the Chartwells and the Avivas and the other shithole places where they're like, oh, come on, it's going to be a lot of fun. We have tea at 3:00. Then they fucking snap your door handle off. And they're like, shut up. We'll be back at 10. Lights out at 10:30. Like that kind of stuff. And it happens. We're charging someone $80 for a fucking toothbrush.
What was that Adam Sandler movie?
Which one?
The golf one.
Billy Madison?
No, the golf one.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Remember the old folks scene?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, same thing. It's the same thing. That's exactly what they're doing here. They don't care. They're just cash cows. Anyway, thanks to Dr. Viv Follower at Dr. Vivian S. Did you watch any of the World Junior Hockey Championships before we get to SheepKing JB? He's standing by. We're going to chat with him next about.
I will say this: people think, because
you're in Edmonton, and it was.
Speaking of things that are absolutely, I was so disgusted by the oh no, we've got this. We've got a fund. We've been collecting money from the parents' subscription fees to Hockey Canada to deal with sexual assault cases. And they just sort of casually mentioned it in front of a committee that was investigating them for the problems with sexual assault within the Hockey Canada community. And I was just like, what? And then not only that, it was like $15 million or $12 million they had in there. And it was just haphazardly mentioned. Oh, no, we paid them from this account.
Yeah, so don't worry about
it. We've got this.
Can you imagine like getting caught? First of all, getting caught covering up decades worth of sexual assaults by hockey players.
But then
and then on top of it going, guys, what are you worried about? We
No.
stole like a ton of money from kids' hockey fees. We got like 12 million in that account. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all good. We're used to this. Our players rape women all the time, so we got an account for it. I was so disgusted by that. And I know it's not the players' fault that we're on the team this year. I actually had somebody, I won't mention their name, go, part of the problem is these women are throwing they're throwing themselves at the hockey players. And I was like, what? Did you just say that out loud? I said, do you know any of these stories? So you'd be okay if your daughter was gang raped by 6 or 7 hockey players because she was hanging out at the rink?
She liked one of them?
It's just fucking awful. That's how some of these people are. So I was disgusted with the whole idea that this thing even existed and that they didn't see they didn't make the connection between having an account to pay off these fines and the possibility that many people might think you're enabling a fucking disgusting culture in our country with hockey, right? Do you think maybe the fact that you have an account maybe suggests, well, you're okay with the idea that, well, every once in a while, one of our players is going to get crazy with a fan? Like, fuck off. And the fact that anybody that was still involved in Hockey Canada that knew about that is still employed is disgusting. It's egregious. So I did not report. And listen, I'm not some saint. I didn't make a stand. I didn't make it public. I didn't go on the air and go, I'm not talking about this because of this. We reported on the fun. We reported on the problems leading up. And then I'm like, the reason why I'm so bothered by it is because I love that tournament. It is hands down my favorite sporting event of the year. I take time off every year because I love my family and I want to spend quality time with them at Christmas.
That's a lie.
But I actually take time off to see that goddamn tournament.
Absolutely. Dude, I remember like a year ago asking you the same question. You're going to watch World Juniors. You're like, I block off 2 weeks for this, dude. Every year. Yeah, you will when it's overseas, you have 24 beer on ice, get up at 3:00 in the morning to watch round robin games and get wasted.
Yes, absolutely. So this year, I swear to God, didn't watch one game until the gold medal game. I saw that they were in the game against Finland, and I was like, oh, fuck. Can I put aside my anger for the team or for the organization, for Hockey Canada right now, and watch these kids play in what is still, even with all the bad press and everything that's going on, still probably the greatest moment of their lives in their hockey careers. And so I went, fuck it, I'm going to watch it. So I grabbed myself a 6-pack.
Did you feel dirty?
And what's that?
Did you feel dirty when you were watching? Where you're like, I shouldn't watch it, but I will because I have to, because this is in my DNA.
I did feel a bit, but then the game was good. It was really so good. And I'm telling you right now, I've been watching this tournament for as long as I can remember. Since because I was a hockey kid. I grew up playing hockey. My dad put me on skates when I was 3 years old. I played hockey till I was 40, and I loved the sport. And if I hadn't broke my tailbone, I'd probably still be playing hockey today. Plus, I was getting in fist fights at 39 with 26-year-olds. I'm like, what am I doing?
Were you one of those guys? One of those guys where you put on skates and you just turned into an asshole? I know lots of you guys, like at Rec League, where like really nice guy, sells insurance by day. Maybe he's a youth pastor at a local cult church, one of those two. And you put skates on him and he's like, I'm going to fucking bull hook you and murder you. I'm going to cross check you. I'm going to eat your babies. Like that guy in front of the net. And you like get off the ice and you're like, dude, I thought you were a mild-mannered insurance guy. He's like, sorry, man. Every time I put on skates, I just turn into a total asshole.
No, I'll tell you what I am. I'm mouthy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not a dirty player. I'm mouthy. So every once in a while, when you got a mouth like I do, you got to answer the bell. And I'm not very good at answering the bell. I usually got my shit handed to me on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
It takes me too long to get my hand back.
Yeah, right? you dude, and you're like, hey, I'm wearing glasses. You're not gonna punch a guy, and soon enough, bam, your glasses are across the ice, and you're like, holy fuck, he did it. He punched a guy with glasses.
Well, I remember one time I had a Donnybrook with a kid, and I thought, okay, well, this one I might actually do okay because I'm 6'4", I'm 235 pounds, like. I'm a big dude, right? And so if you do come after me, generally the guys that came after me were at least in the weight department, decent sized, right? But this little guy came after me. He's about 5'10" and maybe $150, $160. And he was like, all right, old man. It's always old man. It was old man for a lot of years. But we threw down, and before I even got my hand back, I think this little fucker had punched me like 6 times. I'm like, all right, stop.
You got to watch out for those guys. You got to watch out for those little guys. Yeah, they want to fight big guys because you're like, shit, I don't. Yeah.
He got in close and just fed me. And he's punching up too. So you got to give him credit. No, I watched the game on Saturday, and I got to say this. I don't even know how to explain Mason McTavish his defensive play in overtime. I don't even know how to explain what that was.
This is incredible.
There it is. Look at this. This is the overtime. Let's watch this together. We'll back it up. I like you did not watch
anything like this.
Me neither. I did not watch a single second of this tournament until someone tweeted. We put out a tweet this weekend about Finland's prime minister because they were playing Finland final gold medal match, World Junior Hockey Championship, rite of passage. It's like a fucking ceremony in this country to watch this game.
Yeah, nobody
watched it. By the way, ratings were down 70%. There were maybe 10,000 people in that rink, according to some estimates for the final.
Beating this year for money. This is their big moneymaker.
Huge moneymaker.
They make millions of dollars on
sponsors. Lost everything because of the sexual assault stuff. And I'm like, oh, fuck, like you, I'll watch it. So I watched the game. And the shame here, it was one of the best fucking World Junior finals I've ever seen in my life.
It was.
And it culminated with this play where this kid from Finland legitimately is putting up his hands because he snuck one past the Canadian goalie in overtime. This is just seconds before the Canadians go down and score the golden winner, right? Like seconds before it happens.
Well, can you back it up?
Yeah, what you're seeing here.
I'm going to play a little Howie Meeker here. Because watch what happens if you can go back about 10 seconds from that point.
I can't go back 10 seconds from all we have is the goal lock. What do you think this is, CTV?
Listen, I want to be able to write on the teleprompter. But hold on. Just before this play, Mason McTavish got tied up with one of the Finnish players behind and fell behind the net. So his recovery was, he's like, oh shit, I'm done. It ends up being the start because they weren't unable to clear it, and they set up a 3-on-2 here, almost a 3-on-1. So McTavish gets up from behind the net and circles around, and then you'll see what he does.
There he goes. Chips it past the goalie. McTavish who's right on the fucking goal line.
Boom.
Like that was
that's the greatest hockey play I've ever seen.
And he bails himself out.
The presence of mind. And you got two guys whacking at it. He stops it with
just on his ass. He just got up off his ass.
Did not get across the line.
Look at this. It's going in.
What a great look at it.
Boom.
That angle's incredible.
It could not be closer.
He sweeps it off, and then I think there was
scraping
like 1.5 rushes. before the
desperately
winning
keeping
goal.
up
But
the
the
line.
winning goal was,
Oh, it
we're
could've
all
gone-
talking about that defensive play.
Mhm.
The winning goal was spectacular.
Yeah.
Like it was an unbelievable goal. Do you have the goal?
I'm getting it right now.
Anyway, listen, I'm trying to separate, and I had a really good talk with Ray Routh, who is the Dean Blundell sports director for the podcast network. Name change coming. Could we tease that?
Yeah, we can tease a bit of a name change. We can't talk about the name change, but we'll
leave it
changing
at
a
that.
bunch of stuff. Yeah, big one.
Anyway,
Big deal.
Ray is a big football guy, and he is constantly morally torn when shit happens in the NFL, like the Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. Like, I mean, that the 11 games and coming back to play the game back, he'll be playing his former team, the Texans. Anyway, it's so disgusting, and they just don't care. And the thing is, I'm like, okay, there's elements of this in all sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these players, they make millions of fucking dollars to entertain us, and we watch and we buy jerseys and we enable them, right? We pay tickets. The fans enable this. We give them this idea that they can fucking get away with anything. And again, I said to Ray, I said that the thing I'm struggling with is the right thing to do is go, okay, that's it. I'm never watching football again. But I got to be honest, I really like football. And not everyone is Deshaun Watson. So do I punish myself? And do I punish everybody else that plays in this league and is doing something that they love? And there are a lot of great players and great stories in every sport, right? I mean, I was reading a story about the soccer player who, I mean, they were making fun of him because he's got an old iPhone and a cracked screen. And they're like, dude, you make how many millions of dollars? He goes, I give it all away. Right. And no one have ever known this about him, but he's giving millions of dollars to his home country, right? To help people that can't fucking eat. Right. Yeah. And so there are great stories in the sports that we love, and there are great individuals in the sports we love. And there's these kids that they worked their entire lives to get there. Are they all shitheads?
No, and the punishment for the for what happened was self-evident, right? Nobody went to the games, nobody watched them, no one was interested. And I'll
tell you, man,
they
got hurt.
Well, dude, it not only did they lose every corporate sponsor over this whole thing. Here's the golden goal, by the way. This was incredible. Sorry. Look at this.
Watch this. Drags.
Little pass. Has the presence of mind to stay with it. Golden goal.
Yeah.
Wins in overtime. There
now,
you go.
Johnson, the kid that scored it, has got unbelievable hands and is awesome. But the kid that was out there with him that set that play up, his last name starts with an S. That fucking kid, Stankoven, became the heart and soul of that team. Like, he was the engine of that team. And this is why I love this fucking game. Look at these kids, man.
Yeah, I do too. They play because they love it. But the sad part is that they're victims of the organization that put the whole fucking thing on, that hid sexual assault.
And now this is the Finnish coach going, we need a review to see if we scored.
Yeah,
and you can just tell. You can just tell
over.
that it's over. It's over, right?
But it's not done, dude. It's not even done. Like, there's another hearing coming up. I don't know if you saw this today. Rick Westhead put it out. Member of Parliament Peter Julian said it's not about dragging Hockey Canada through the muck. It's about accountability. They plan on calling Hockey Canada board members to testify about gifts and perks that they used that slush fund for, that we're talking about, to cover up sexual assaults. If you were mad before, Cheap Lock will fucking hate this. This is not about dragging Hockey Canada through the muck. Peter Julian said it's about accountability and transparency. We've had stonewalling by Hockey Canada, haven't gotten answers that Canadians are asking for. We're hearing minor hockey associations and parents who are concerned about the use of their registration fees for purposes that had nothing to do with effective management of hockey. The allegations I've heard about high-priced wine, gold rings, and luxury accommodations are concerning. This whistleblower is providing important information. The committee needs to hear from them, and Hockey Canada needs to come clean with what it's been doing with registration fees and why they have not invested in stopping sexual assault. So while that was going on, while Canada gets this golden moment, while these kids are out there playing underneath the shadow of the terrible men and women that enabled sexual assault, abuse, gang rape of young Canadian women over the past 20, maybe 30 years, maybe longer, who fucking knows? They're also splashing out and taking some of the registration money, allegedly, according to Rick Westhead from TSN. They're taking some of that money and like bribing people with it. I guess gold rings. That was that was what I got out of it. I'm not saying that that's what they did, but that's what I'm saying. Luxury accommodations, $1,000 bottles of wine, like literally to wine and dine people. It's like a lobby group / but they're using children's. Apparently, they're going to get to the bottom of it. They want to find out: are you using kids' registration money for bottles of wine to curry favor with international dipshits in the hockey community? Is that what you guys are doing? And no one's saying, or so not on top of hiding behind the sexual assault and the registration money and all the terrible shit that Hockey Canada executives have done over the years, they're now stonewalling about what they've spent the rest of that money on. So like, it's fucking unbelievable to me. And it shouldn't be, because hockey in this country is one of the most important things. So it's almost like they could justify it by saying, listen, it's our identity. This is like, let's promote the culture. Let's fucking protect the people. Let's protect us. And it always comes down to that fucking entitlement. And Hockey Canada is going to fucking get it. And they deserve it, to the point where I look at the lack of people that are actually at those games and 70% drop in viewership in the World Junior Hockey Championships. And I'm like, I'm wondering if hockey culture in this country is going to get it. Like, I wonder if the bloom is off the hockey rose, so to speak, because I'll tell you something. It's fucking embarrassing. It's embarrassing to us as Canadians and people that have paid minor hockey fees, and I've paid thousands over the years, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, to know that they're whining and dining and 69ing and fucking trying to cover up sexual assault allegations and trying to, protect these players from the terrible acts and actions that they allegedly committed. It's fucking wild to me. That's why I don't feel bad that I didn't watch any of it, with the exception of the gold medal game, and I only watched overtime. And the reason why I watched overtime is because someone tweeted, hey, stop talking about Finland's prime minister. We're trying to kick their ass in hockey, and it's going overtime. I'm like, fuck, I got to watch it, I guess. But, dude, I didn't watch a second of it because I'm disgusted by it. Yeah, for sure.
Can I add something? Also, I got the video of this guy that I know. I've never met him, but I know him through a friend, of him doing a video with his own foot. Where do I send it?
Just email it to me, dean@deepblend.com.
Okay, I'm sending you this right away here. It's on YouTube. It's a YouTube link. Okay,
all right.
Here's the other thing. I'll do that in a minute. Hey, JB.
JB's in.
Let
me
boys,
just add
this, and then we can move on, because people are getting sick of the sports thing. Here's the other thing that I will say, and this is because I've worked in buildings with sports donkey stations. And what's his name? Rick Westhead. Westhead. Listen, he is among the few in that industry. This fucking country has a bunch of fucking sports donkeys that enable this shit too. They're just as much a part of the problem. Whenever there is a situation in this country where it needs to be reported on about a hockey player doing something egregious, they're all of a sudden tight-lipped because they're worried about their fucking parking passes and their press credentials at different buildings around the country. And listen, they all know that they do this. It's bullshit. And they do it under the guise of, well, we report on the game. We don't report on people's personal lives. Well, fuck off. That's bullshit, because you're enabling this group as well. These players think they're gods because they get treated like gods and they can get away with anything. And a lot of shit is swept under the carpets, not just from teams and organizations like Hockey Canada, right? And team presidents and team owners, but also from the fucking media that reports on it. And it's bullshit. And I think a close look needs to be had And I would, if I was running a fucking sports station in this country, I'd be taking a very hard look at myself and how I've reported these things over the years, okay? And what part that plays in enabling these dicks, right? It's fucking bullshit. It really is. I don't know how many times I heard stories or there was certain situations and it was fucking crickets over at the sports station.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
oh yeah, dude.
It is.
Yeah, it was the same when the Kyle Beach thing happened. Sportsnet stayed away from that. Rick Westhead was the only guy actually doing anything about it, and begrudgingly. But like, dude, it is gross. Like,
it is. It's
the amount of
disgusting.
people who prevent the truth from coming out when it comes to protecting women, protecting innocence. And they don't give a fuck as long as they can protect their trips around the world and their 5-star accommodation.
Watson has like 30 fucking women. So the team, and you know what? How many times was there a story in the Houston area that could have been reported on by one of those sports fucking donkey stations that might have outed that dick and they got this process started earlier? And
they're like, hey, don't say anything about Deshaun Watson. Whatever you do, don't say anything. They're going to sue you.
Man, he's 26 and he's a really good quarterback.
Yeah, he's our guy. He's a quarterback. That's our guy. Don't say anything. Whatever you do. That's how it always is, dude. Did you see the picture of did you see this picture of the Deshaun Watson father and son duo? You see this?
No, I haven't seen this. What is this?
I was so grossed out by this. Grossed out. Like, you know, one of those things where you're like so shocked by it. You're like, oh, come on. Like, are you serious? Like, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's a dad with his kid, both of them holding up 2 signs in Browns jerseys. Fuck them hoes. Free Watson. That's nice, eh?
It's family-friendly entertainment.
Yeah. Fucking wild. Anyway, JB's here. SheepKing JB, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
JB is back.
How have you been? It's been a hot week and a bit. But
yeah, it's been a minute.
JB, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Fighting with Amazon for the last week and a half because they keep taking down my book and I have to keep getting them to put it back up. And then they keep taking it down and then they keep putting it back up. And now it's back up only in the US, but not in Canada because they said we don't know why. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. So working on that and we're working through it. But, you know, it's been
Do you have a studio audience, JB? I can't help but notice that there's people in there with you.
There is people here, and it's a beautiful day, Locke, and we're just going to leave it at that. No, yes, I do have guests here.
Do you have 3 women on your bed there?
Yes, that's exactly what I have. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Why? Is there a reason why you have 3 women on your bed right now?
Yeah.
Practicum students?
Yeah, they're interns. In at Sheep Entertainment. So.
Okay. Right. Is this part of your polyamorous lifestyle coming to fruition today?
Partly, yes. Partly.
Okay.
So
you're going to need to expand on that.
Yeah.
I will not expand any further. I'll just it's a beautiful day in Toronto and we'll continue on with the show.
You live a very different life than I do.
I know.
Are you filming later? Are you filming anything?
No. They are
OnlyFans content.
2 of them are visiting from Vancouver. They're the mods on my channel, so they work. So they're in town for one of their birthdays, and the other is a partner of mine visiting from out of town as well. So yeah, it's just a little get together.
So they're not all partners of yours.
No.
Only one is a partner. The other 2 are mutual friends.
Yes.
And this is more of a prop. However, the partner is a partner in your polyamorous life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's good times.
That's
I'm a big fan of JB's. I am getting closer and closer to signing up for your OnlyFans. Like there's going to be a day where I'm just going to There's going to be a day where I'm just going to go, you know what? I'm doing it tonight. Tonight's the night.
So if I see that
ask
email
him for the free trial. He'll give you a free trial.
No, I want to pay for it. If I'm going to do it, I want to pay for it. This needs to be real for me. I'm going to get into my my silk pajamas. I'm going to get a pipe. I might even start, like, I don't know. What do you think? Fedora? Some type of headwear. Headgear. And I'm going to sit down. I'm going to find a way to patch you through my big screen TV in the basement Gonna get some cocktails, maybe have them on ice, and I'm gonna watch and see what JB's up to on a Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, let me know how that goes for you.
Yeah. You're gonna see a lot of wieners.
I like reviews. I like
Yeah.
reviews.
You're gonna see a lot of wieners. You might want to have your wife come down, join you that evening. There might be something in it for her. Maybe more for her than you. You never know. It's not a bad idea. Anyway, so JB, appreciate you being
on
here.
The table.
No
problem.
Yeah, at SheepKing JB is where you can find him. Spicy SheepKing on OnlyFans. Yes, he has an OnlyFans site. He's super open about his lifestyle. He's also been following this weird story. Speaking of weird stories, this weird story coming out of Ottawa this weekend. I don't know if you saw this, Locke, or if you followed this. Maybe you took a weekend off of crazy. I wished I would have. Didn't work out. It's a lot of fun.
No, I do know they were trying to close the church down. That was the last I heard about it, but I didn't follow past the point where the cops were going to move in and pull them out.
Yeah.
Right? Completely.
So this is the fake Convoy church. St. Bridget's, Ottawa. We've talked about it several times. Organization that calls themselves TUPOC, TUPOC, the United People of Canada. Really clever shit. Says they took it over. Now they got evicted last week. So bailiff shows up. He's like, you guys owe 10 grand in back rent. You haven't paid it. You haven't secured your insurance. Supposed to have about $5 million worth of insurance for that building. They're like, they couldn't afford it. No one will give them insurance because they're all fucking crazy. And they started fucking around with a heritage building, which I don't know if people know this, when you have a heritage building of sorts, you're not allowed to touch it unless you get like 48 permits and sign off and all that other bullshit. Anyway, so they were finally evicted. Now they have fought like hell to stay there. Apparently they're being evicted again today. Bailiffs have shown up and said, hey, we're going to start towing cars. You can't be on the property. So
Bylaw was there today.
Bylaw was there today. So where is this thing? And then we'll get to some of the great video which came out of there this weekend. By the way, this is them having a church service inside. We'll get to that video. It was fucking hilarious. But what do you know about these guys? Like, how are they not?
So they are a group of individuals originating from London, Ontario, and
not Alberta. Thanks for the clarification there. Right out of the gates.
They originate from London, Ontario. The registered address to the United People of Canada's corporation number is to a church, an actual church in London. So these individuals do not reside in Ottawa. They're not from Ottawa. They just go there sometimes. And they allegedly, the original story was that they purchased this church for a cold $6 million. And then, everyone started to raise eyebrows, being like, where did you get $6 million from? Right? Like, because these are people who were at and involved with the convoy. Now, they will say that they are not associated with the convoy in any way, shape, or form. But they just say it was an event that occurred. But they say they weren't involved. But then in the same breath, they'll say, well, wait, no, we were there handing out food, providing blankets, transportation. So they were involved in the convoy, whether they'd like to admit it or not. And they are basically alleged to have purchased this church, and we're going to create this embassy for all Canadians to attend. So they did that. And then, people from the community started to show up and say, hey, if this is an embassy, if this is anybody can attend, can I book the space for my LGBTQ meeting community meeting? And they were like, no, you can't. So the evidence became very clear that these people were not there for the best interest of the community like they said they were, and were there to push some sort of Christo-fascist sort of agenda. Right?
Please tell me that the LGBTQ community was doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there was somebody that approached them and said, we want to book your space for a meeting that we had for the LGBTQ community here in Ottawa, and they said no. That doesn't. So like, this is supposed to be like.
So it's not really for all Canadians.
No,
it's for Canadians who aren't gay, because these people are Jesus freaks. That's what the deal is, right?
Yeah, and they, time only lets everybody groups in for activity, and then all of a sudden one day it pops up on Twitter from Ottawa Police saying, we are enforcing an eviction notice at the old St. Bridget's Church. And that's when the news started to come out. And CFRA has done extensive comments basically saying, Yeah, they owe 10 grand in back taxes. They have no insurance. They've modified a heritage building, and the bailiff showed up because the owner of the building that they're allegedly buying this from did a conditional offer saying you have to rent it for an X number of months to make sure that this fits your needs and fits what you want. And then when you're ready to buy, we can put through the purchase order for the actual building at $6 million. So they had to pay about 10 grand in rent in the time that they used it, that they allegedly have never paid. And the owner terminated the commercial lease because in Ontario, they're not protected like they are residents. So like I'm a residential leaseholder here because I rent this space. If my landlord wants to evict me, he has to go to the tenant board. He has to get a court order. There's a process, right? But for commercial leases, they can just say, get out. You're done. We're terminating it. And it's done.
So legally, basically what you're saying is they're within their rights to kick them out. So
yep.
Yeah. And now we kind of alluded to the fact that there might be a connection between this group, or a better way of putting it is this group that is also part of the Freedom Convoy and has created this fake or culty kind of church thing, and this was going to be their home base, are also maybe somewhat connected to the Freemen of the Land group.
Yes.
Is there any truth to that? Where they
There's
believe
been allegations of that. Yeah. I've heard different connections to different groups. And, this is all from the Telegram groups that I'm in, kind of peeking in on some of these allegations and these.
How much fun is that? Being getting in on those Telegram groups.
I had to turn the notifications off on my phone just because I didn't want somebody to look at my phone and see like Freedom Convoy 2022, like all these notifications come up and be like, what are you? So the notifications are silenced, but I peek in every now and then to see what crazies are going on. And, some of the names they see mentioned in there, I'm like, that's a name that's connected to this Christo-fascist group in this country. And it's all... I would love somebody to break it down, and with that, newspaper on the wall with the pins and the string.
Didn't somebody recently do that though in Canada? Somebody made the connection. That's how Ted Cruz got connected to PP and a bunch of conservatives through that church.
And Callum did it. We all know Callum on TikTok and Twitter. Yeah. He did it for the Freedom Convoy. He did it for the Freedom Convoy. When the Freedom Convoy was happening, he took all the organizers and found the groups that they were involved in and where those groups are connected to, and basically proved essentially in a one-page sort of document that, hey, this is all connected to, Christo-fascism, far-right extremist movements, right? Whether they say it is or not, the evidence is very clear. It's the whole kitchen table analogy that if you hang out with a bunch of bad people at a table and you don't leave the room, you're just as bad as the people at the table, right? So it's that kind of theory.
Follow the money too, right? That's always an interesting exploration in, craziness.
So the latest update that I have is that bylaw was there today, ticketing all the vehicles that were on premise, because there's a process, right? They got to ticket it, wait a couple days. If the vehicle doesn't move, they can tow it. But bylaw was there to start the enforcement efforts on the vehicles on the property. And I'm told Thursday morning at an undisclosed time, the bailiff's coming in with cops and they're changing the locks, and that's it.
Thursday morning?
That's what I've heard.
It's kind of crazy that they were able to get away with this as long as they did.
Yeah.
Right.
Squatting rights are
they looked and pretended like they were for real. Now listen, that's the other part of this, right? There are a lot of people that are going to be standing there going, these people should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want, just like any other religion, freedom of religion in Canada, which is why they did this, right? Like why they did it at a church. They did it at a church because they wanted to be able to play that freedom of religion card, when this is really, are these people religious? Sure, but they're also fucking mentally unwell. Case in point, here's a church service that they had in there just the other day. Little Shakira. I didn't know that was a church hymn, but she's doing a little trailer park karaoke in a 200-year-old church. And they're waving around this flag, and they've got like the British flag, and they've got a bunch of fuck Trudeau's or truck signs. So I don't know how religious these losers are, but I can tell you one thing's for sure is that they are losers.
Yeah.
And they're literally squatting, and while they're squatting in this church and not being able to kind of leave the church, apparently what they're doing is kind of staying there in as far as they can. And
It's a beautiful building too, and it's a shame
Yeah,
to see this happening.
It's an incredible spot.
Yeah.
Isn't that's a church service? That is what's going on in that church right now. That is happening in that church right now.
The crazy thing is when
they
I
refuse to leave, so they're all partying until they get literally forced out.
When I lived in Ottawa, that was the neighborhood I lived in. I was about 5 minutes from St. Bridges. So like I remember when it went up for sale. I remember when it was going through that process, and everyone had the questions in the community: who's going to buy it? What's it going to turn into? And there was a big effort to keep it, historical, and that's what designated it an historical building that it is today.
Thank God we do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
make an effort to keep stuff historical. I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, no, but it's a beautiful building, and I hate to see it tear down for condos, right?
Yeah.
Like it's nice that it's there, but then these truck nuts show up and try to buy it. So it's a shame to see, and some of the footage that have come out from it is just fascinating. And my favorite is during that sermon from that video when they had the Shakira song for a bit, and then they started to go on this. They said it was a press conference. Now we all work or have worked in the media. We all know press conferences are about 10, 15 minutes usually, and then followed by a couple questions, and then life goes on. They talked for over an hour and a half about how, one, they're not linked to the Freedom Convoy in any way, shape, or form, that people don't understand what they are, that they're not trespassing, and they have a legal lease, thinking that they have residential tenancy. Right. I love when the person who was live there panned the camera, and there was 2 people there that were actually supporting them. When there was more reporters that were asking them questions, be like, so when are you going to get out? Like, and there was community members there that actually live in the community going, yeah, get the fuck out. Like, get out of this building. Like, you've been kicked out. We don't want you here. You say you speak for the community, yet you don't leave when the community wants you to leave. It's like, it's wild. Insane. Yeah,
it's wild, and to the point where they're like
fascinating.
They've got this loser named William Comer that goes outside, and he literally like searches up the law on his phone in front of the police, where he's like, hey, so does this apply? Like, because we're occupants, we can stay here, right? So they're trespassing. And the guy's like, well, you haven't really paid your rent, so you've been ordered to get out. He's like, yeah, but we're still here. So it's like these people are still like it's literal insanity, and it's backed up all by religion. I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, how is this even possible? How can these people feel this way? And all you need to do is consult maybe one of the organizers, like Diane Nolan. I want you to listen very carefully. This is her. She's also holed up in the church. She's one of the directors. She was also Tammy Lish's handler. She was the person that came out both times she came out of jail, deeply involved in the convoy, even though she's not. And again, if you don't think this is like some kind of weirdo evangelical Christo-fascist religious play, have a listen to one of the directors of this fake church.
I have no idea who's going to come and give me a call this week, but I'm praying that some of the churches are going to come into order here, because there's a whole awakening happening, and there's a rising up that's bigger than ourselves. But it starts with you, and it starts with me, and only God. And you know what? It just takes one person to say yes to God to change a nation. So let's come together, guys.
Isn't that nice? Let's come together, guys. Let's change
Charming.
the nation. Let's do it. Let's change
Won
this
me
nation
over.
together.
I'm on my way to Ottawa. I'm gonna go join their movement.
But they're just literally the same convoy losers, and all that is home base for convoy losers. And as you know, losers are still losers. So these losers didn't have the rent, even though they said they'd pony up. Yeah. And they've been like literally getting people to bring food, like day old food. They've been skeeving at No Frills, saying just get a bunch of rotten fruit, bring it because we have no money. They raised $13 for their first month's rent. $13.
Yeah. Well, and now they're selling bonds, community bonds for people, saying that, hey, invest in this organization, and we'll give you a return of 2% plus prime in the next however many years. And then now reporters are raising the questions, be like, in Ontario, you need to be licensed to sell securities like that. Like, you need to have a license. So now they might be in deeper shit, like actual like federal fraud charges, because now they're selling securities that they don't have a license to sell. Like,
JB, I do have a question for you. Are there not, and I don't know what those rules are, but are there not protectionisms in place revolving around listen, I know that this isn't a real religion, that they made this up, but aren't there like things in our Constitution that protect religious groups?
This
So
is the best
do
part.
they?
They're
Okay,
not registered
perfect.
as a religion. They're registered
No,
as a
they did-
non-for-profit corporation.
So
So they have to pay taxes. They have to file every quarter. I looked into this because I'm like, okay, so if they're an actual church, then they'd
Yeah.
be registered as a religious organization. They won't pay federal tax. They won't do all that stuff, and they can hide their money in a sense, right? So we don't have to know where this 10,000 came from for rent, and then the 6 million that they alleged have to buy this church. They're a non-for-profit corporation, which is required to file every quarter about the income they have, where their money was spent, and to show that they did not make a profit. So the truth will come out soon where this money came from. So,
yeah. Oh, dude, the last thing that William Comer and these wackos want to do is go to court because there's this little thing called discovery, which is like everybody's worst nightmare when you're engaged in like bullshit legal action. And that's all these guys count on. Like everything this William Comer guy does is based on his human rights. Do you know the kind of pussy he is? I'll tell you the kind of pussy he is. Several years ago, when he left his wife, he left the matrimonial home. Then after he left the matrimonial home, he called the police because he didn't like the fact she was still in it, even though he left. And they're like, hey, idiot, you left your house. You left the matrimonial home. We don't have to kick her out. She's entitled to be there. And so he filed a lawsuit against the police station in London saying that they were objectifying his gender because they were being rude to him because he was a guy.
And this is the guy that looks like he drives for Grubhub?
Yeah, that guy. Foodora.
It's bilingual in Quebec. You gotta say both. But
yeah. Seriously,
Ottawa.
That's the kind of guy he is. He like weaponizes the law that he knows nothing about and just threatens to sue everybody. Like all weekend long, if you watch these videos and the people that put him out, this guy was standing out there with his phone going, he was your guy, dude. He's like, get off the lawn. You're not allowed to be here. I'll call the police if you go on. And they're like, dude, I thought this was like a community center. And he's like, it's not anymore. Get off. You're trespassing. Like before it was like, hey, come one, come all. And now they can't pay rent and they're being evicted. And everybody and their bullshit is like laid bare for everybody to see that these guys are total fucking frauds, just religious extremist frauds from the Convoy that are trying to set up a home base down the street from where Trudeau lives, and they don't have the money to do it, never did. Yeah. Now he's like, well, I'm good. It's all human rights. Like everything is human rights to these guys, and they know nothing about human rights, which is fucking awesome when you watch these videos of guys standing there Googling law.com as the police show up going, hey, dude, you got to leave. He's like, hang on a second. I got law.com here. I got something. I'm going to figure out something to tell you. And it was like that all weekend long, like literally all weekend long.
My favorite
great to watch.
My favorite was when the CFRA reporter, his name's Andrew. I'm drawing a blank on his last name. He's on Twitter. Pinsent, yes, that's it. He put out a video basically of them asking him to leave. You weren't invited to this press conference, the one from the video you showed. And he was like, you invited everybody. You said you're having a press conference at 2. I am press. I'm here to report it. And they tried to have him arrested for trespassing. And the cops showed up and they said, you invited him. Like you invited everybody. You can't arrest somebody for trespassing when you invited people into the building for your press conference. And he's off the property. Like he was standing on the sidewalk. He's like, I'm on a public sidewalk now. I can do and say whatever I want here. I'm not on the property. And they're like, you still need to leave. And he's like, no.
Just the weakest.
And meanwhile, somebody didn't get their chicken fried rice. That's the worst part about this whole thing.
Oh man, and you know what? It's funny because like I was laughing this weekend at everybody with the Jeremy McKenzie and the Pierre Polievre handshake. This handshake. Remember this? Jeremy is of course the founder of that doofusy dork group called Diagolon. These guys that think that their country is like goes diagonally through Canada, which is really a clever name. Diagolon goes diagonally, and they're this guy was arrested for 13 firearms violations. Some members of his group, Diagolon, were arrested armed at Coots at the Alberta blockade in Coots, if you remember that as well.
Yeah,
so
that's that group.
Yeah, same group of douchebags, just a bunch of losers, just
in Alberta
fucking
here.
Super losers. Yeah, mega douchebags. This one of them just actually sent me a goatsy picture to my email. You know the goatsy guy where he pulls his anus apart, that guy?
Yeah.
And tried to threaten me. Like I just got it just before we went on, and I was fucking dying laughing because it's what they do. They just threaten people through like fake email accounts that they get on Proton Mail or Gorilla Mail. They're just losers.
Yeah. Their Telegram's a wild ride.
Their Telegram is?
They basically don't hide what they are. They say they're white supremacists. They say that they are what they are. They don't hide it.
It's
And that's
fairly-
what's scary, right?
fairly obvious.
The dog whistle ones that, you know, hide behind a different identity are frightening and should be called out. But the ones that don't hide and say exactly what they are and what their intention are is the one that I want CSIS to go, these guys, like, look at these guys. Like, they're not afraid to call themselves that. And they're not afraid to use violence. They say it in their Telegram group.
Well, it's funny because I thought that too, and I remember like Jeremy, because we've swapped emails a couple times. We had him and his group of losers on. We tried to actually help him because he was part of that methlequin lawsuit, because he's a former veteran, decorated veteran, former veteran whose brain's been fried by a bunch of vaccines he was forced to take, and obviously now he's mad, and he's part of this group of guys that are like, we hate everybody that isn't us. Fuck you. We're allowed to do whatever we want. Drunk generally most of the time. But he apparently wants to sue us or sue me. I am suing the absolute fuck out of Dean Blundell, he said. What do you think he's got? 10, 20K tops? Not even, dude. Apparently, I traffic guns now, and my whole family's racist. LOL. The boosters really did a number on Dean's tiny brain. He also thinks I'm a secret neo-Nazi conspiracy. I'm in a secret neo-Nazi conspiracy with Pierre. I hope he gets more boosters. This is fun. Could care less. Doesn't matter to me. Could care less.
You won't see anything.
Yeah,
No.
The sad thing is, I think he's got some PTSD issues, and like there are people in the community, in the veterans community, that have been trying to help him for a while, right? And I think this is a byproduct.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him, and I feel sorry for almost every single veteran who is in that situation. Like I can't, dude. He's his own worst enemy. Like, I'm not the biggest problem that he has today. I'll tell you that. Just the fact, because I did an article on the fact that Pierre and him shook hands, and it's all strategy. Like, for Jeremy, it's strategy because his little fucking group of dorks get this little rush where, oh, look at everybody's talking about Diagolon and us and this little group of losers that we created running around the fucking country with these guns and fucking vests and trying to be cool, and like that's what's in it for them. And a guy like Pierre loves it because he literally just spent the last 2 days trolling people. He's like, I shake hands with anybody, including that guy, and he was just a dude that lined up. There's no way he doesn't know who Diagolon is. There's no way he doesn't know who these fucking losers are. There is absolutely, if he wants to be the prime minister of this country, and he's like, I had no idea that this guy represented and was the founder of one of the biggest loser extremist / budding terror groups in this country, full of white nationalists and white supremacists. I had no idea. That's a fucking lie. Like, just an out and out lie.
But
and
they don't, he doesn't care. PP doesn't care because he is not, he doesn't get, we're not going to, anybody on the left isn't voting for him. No. So he needs to basically, what's the word I'm looking for? He needs to energize. That's not even it. He needs to energize the right. Yeah. And that's all he's doing. And by saying things like, I will shake hands with anybody, you're all Canadians. And listen, if you listen to a PP rant or press conference or a speech at an old folks home, listen to the amount of times he says freedom. He never promises a fucking word. He knows all the trigger words, and that's all he's doing. And it is just right at the heart of his base. I mean, and everybody does it. Identity politics is a thing. Everybody does this, and this is the world that we live in now. Yeah. Nobody in the middle is represented. It's all extremes. We've done it to ourselves, and it truly is. And that person's not real. I refuse to believe that Stone Seawitch is an actual person. I think I know who it is as well. But it's not a Trump playbook at all. It's a version of it. It's a very Canadian version of it. What it is just scare tactic because it's easy right now to whip up the right. It is very easy, right?
And easy to use. Dude, here's the thing: is like they're all doing the same thing. Like your boy Jeremy, he knows he's triggering people. He gets a kick out of it because he knows everybody hates him and some people are afraid of him. I ain't. Pierre loves it because he gets attention. His name is at the top of the news cycle all weekend long again. They need each other. Like, there's a reason why Pierre marched with James Topp and the rest of the people from Diagolon and all those losers that day. They did the second convoy thing for 4 blocks, by the way, just 4 blocks. Dude walked the entire fucking length of the country. Pierre's like, I'll join you for 4 blocks for a quick video, and then I'm out. They're like, no
Through
problem.
Carlton.
We fucking love you. Yeah. So that was it. That's all he did. But my point is this, is that they need each other. This is, and they do I'll tell you this, these fucking jackoffs do a great job of it too. They do an incredible job of triggering you and triggering you and triggering the right and triggering the left and getting support and making people angry. Like the whole goal is just this narcissist fucking soup. It's all it is like, how can we get people to pay attention to us and how can we do it all the time? And for a guy like Pierre, he doesn't care. Dude, did you guys see his breakfast video today? Have you guys seen his?
Yeah.
It's one of the fucking all-time greats.
I thought we had enough of Pierre's weird videos, but I watched this 5-minute video and I was so uncomfortable. I was sitting there. I'm like, why am I like, do I feel like I'm in trouble in school? This is like my math teacher telling me I did econ wrong, essentially, for 5 minutes. It's weird. It's just so weird.
Think about
Pierre
how uncomfortable
records-
you're going to be when he wins. He's going to win. I don't want him
He'll
to.
win. He'll win
gonna
conservative
win.
leadership. I don't think he can beat Trudeau.
I don't
He's
think
gonna
he'll beat
win.
Trudeau either. Anyway,
He's gonna,
let's have a watch.
We're going to have a conservative.
Well, if he
government
wins, this
in-
is and here's the thing. A lot of people, I've had a lot of people
He's
send me
gonna win.
tweets over the past couple of days like, "Oh yeah, are you going to cry liberal tears when he wins?" I'm like, I don't give a fuck if he wins. My life will change 0. Like I hate the guy. I talk about values and principles, and the fact that he's basically a fucking meme at this point. He's just a hilarious joke to me. He's just an evil, hilarious fear porn joke.
Not
But
to a lot of people.
If he becomes the prime minister,
he is
nothing's going
hitting-
to change. Nothing's
He
going to
is
change.
hitting. He
Don't
is
care.
hitting all the fucking benchmarks.
Yeah, totally.
To
For the
and
crazies.
he's smart
He's
enough.
touching
Yeah,
the crazies where they stink, and they fucking
that's-
go for it. Yeah.
that's who's
the
voting.
best.
That's who's left that votes.
Well, we'll find
Dean,
out, I guess. Can I
I
play you
think-
this breakfast video before you tell me that he's going to be the next prime minister?
He's
Let's
going to be
play
the
the
next prime
breakfast
minister.
video.
Play the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the next prime minister. Here's the video. This is, by the
Yes,
way,
he
let me
is.
set the scene. He's having breakfast. PP's having brekkie. And he wants to tell everybody how expensive it is because of just inflation. Justin Trudeau's inflation. He's going to tell you how expensive his breakfast is. He's not paying for the breakfast. Taxpayers are paying for the breakfast. But he's upset. And he's conducting the interview. He's doing this as if
Is he
it's
eating it
Justin Trudeau. Well, hang on. It's like he's cosplaying. He's like, it's Justin Trudeau sitting down to have breakfast with him. And I want you to watch this. It's fucking hilarious.
It's the shittiest role play ever.
Oh,
Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time. Thanks very much for taking my invitation to have a little breakfast. I know you're just back from your vacation in Costa Rica. And there's a few things you might not have noticed while you were gone. Starting with the price of coffee. It's up 14% in 1 year. Not just coffee, Justin. Bacon is up 8%. Milk to put in your coffee, it's up 7%.
oh no.
Bread's up 15%. And the butter on the bread, that's up 17%, Justin. Eggs, up 16%. So the average Canadian can't even dream of going on a vacation right now to Costa Rica. They're just dreaming about, well, affording food. In fact, there's a poll out, Justin, you might find interesting. About a quarter of Canadians are now borrowing money
This goes 5
just
minutes.
for essentials like eating.
5
Justin,
minutes.
can you imagine taking out a loan
Yeah.
so that you can eat?
Yeah. By the way, he's so fucking overstating this. He is using eggs as a prop to upset the left and to endear himself to the right. He's using pancakes, cream, milk.
Did I miss the
sugar.
pancake bit? Because
Yeah, I don't know.
Why am I
need some
hungry?
pancakes.
he's
I
going
don't
to
know.
win.
Breakfast doesn't look
I'm
terrible.
telling you right
There's no
now,
way he's
because
gonna win,
he is
dude.
going to win.
Not a
This
chance.
is going to fucking, because things are more expensive and people are noticing it. And it is having an impact on people's day-to-day lives. And he is feeding right into that fear. He's not promising anything. He never actually ever says anything about what he's
Right.
going to do to fix the problem. All he's
Never.
doing is just highlighting,
Bitcoin.
right? He's just highlighting
how
what it is
shit
that
their
we're all
life is.
dealing with.
Because
Yeah.
they had to pay 7% more for cream, and the coffee was 14% more.
And people, I'm telling you right now,
you
can be mad at me for pointing this out. You can be mad at me because people are in the comment section are shut up, Locke, you're an idiot. I'm telling you right now, this is stuff that people are getting wound up about right now.
Totally.
And he is part of the problem.
Yes.
And he is going to continue to do this, and he's going to ride this fucking horse right to election, and they're going to oust Justin Trudeau, who barely got in and who is hanging in there by the thread of a coalition to maintain any control over the government in Canada. And we're going to be dealing with this stick. You guys can laugh about it, but I'm telling you right now, we all need to be really, really concerned about where we're going politically. That asshole is going to be running this country.
No, he won't.
And it's not going to be funny. It's not going to be Trump funny or Trump fun.
Let me just
going
insert,
to be terrifying.
It's not terrifying. He's useless. None of the things he says he's going to do will he do.
So
he's just repeating rhetoric. He's just fucking serving up fear porn to the dumbest people in this country. It happens every week. And case in point, a dumb person would go, "Yeah, he's right. He's right. My toast was more expensive. Yeah, he's right. I noticed creamer is like 7% more if I get out my pocket calculator."
Yeah, he's right. Justin Trudeau's in Costa Rica right now.
Well, because they're idiots.
That's a legit thing.
Now, yeah, but they're idiots. That's why. And he's paying, and he just feeds it. He feeds the idiot machine. And all the idiots are like, let me press the fucking button so I can get some more idiocy from the idiot machine. Here's fucking inflation across the country. Hang on, not that one. This one.
Yeah.
International inflation rates. This is yesterday. Canada, 6.8%. Mexico, 7.7%. United States, 8.3%. UK, 9%. Netherlands, 9.6%. Brazil.
And we actually went down. We went down in the last month.
Yes,
we were 7.3%. So things are improving.
And
all of those inflation numbers are a result of an international economy that has been thrown into the fucking blender because we've got a war in Ukraine. And this fucking piece of shit, Pierre Poilievre, is going for taxpayer-paid breakfast, telling people that their eggs are 16% more, and he's pretending that nobody can afford food and we're a fucking welfare state as a result. Because he's legitimately catering to the dumbest people in the country, and they'll eat it up like a fucking pancake.
So
and it's awesome.
That's the interesting thing. Yeah, I'll be real quick with this. One, he's a sitting member of parliament. So that breakfast that he's invited Justin to is paid for by you and I as a taxpayer. So he's wasting. Like, he is going and saying Canadians can't afford this while nomming on some bacon and toast that apparently is so overpriced.
That Canadians are paying for.
Yeah. The other thing that I found funny, if you watch the video again, watch very closely when he's reading off the percentages that things are going up. You can clearly see he's reading it off like a piece of paper or a prompter or something because his eyes keep going down to the table. He doesn't actually know how much things are going up.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. And this is textbook. It's populism, right? He's saying things that riles people up. But, and to that other point with the percentages around the world, Turkey has a 79% inflation right now. Greece has like a 38% inflation. Spain has a 19% inflation. So to say that, we are so bad, but then when you look at the global stage and go, okay, yes, inflation's here, gas is up, everything's up, and we can all agree on that. Yeah. The reality is in other places of the world, it's up a lot more. So, and that's because
but
of this.
We don't do that, thing. JB. We don't see outside of our own neighborhoods. And again, we take a look at what's impacting us individually. And the other thing I think needs to be said out loud, there are a lot of people in this country right now that, the pandemic hit them hard. They've run up a lot of debt and they're really feeling the pinch right now.
Sure.
And that's the crowd that he is trying to engage. That's the crowd he's speaking directly to. Not everyone does the math. Not everyone knows about Turkey. Not everyone is quick to defend Justin. And I don't feel like I need to be the guy that sits here to represent the other side because I'm in the middle, but I'm telling you right now, what he's doing is going to work.
It's going to work in some places.
It's going to work. And you guys
it'll work in
somehow, and again, I would
Saskatchewan.
like to point this out. You guys keep bringing up that it doesn't work in Ontario, but
Or
fuck
Quebec.
you, Doug. Who's running your fucking province? You guys can't see past your own noses. You guys have one of the worst conservative governments in the history of provincial politics
Without
running
question.
your province right now.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how you guys can sit here and tell me that everyone in Ontario is smarter than everybody back west when you got the dork of the century running your province.
I'm
It
not
just makes
saying
no
we're
sense
smarter.
to me.
I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
you
in
do
order
on a
to
fairly
work-
regular basis. You guys separate. You put a line in the country between west and east. Every fucking time I'm on this goddamn podcast, you guys make a point of telling us how much smarter you
Well,
are
to be
back
ser-
east than we are back west.
To be serious,
This is going to work.
I don't draw a line between like the East and the West. What I point out is it's a good thing that you guys never get to pick prime ministers.
Well, and that's kind of my point. Yes, PP is an Ontario MP from Carleton and Ottawa, but he is not popular in Quebec. He is not popular in the rest of Ontario. And for a conservative, for a conservative to win in Canada on the federal level, you need to win. You have to do well in Quebec, and you have to do really well in Ontario.
I love this
Liberals-
political math that I see you guys fucking try to negotiate.
I've done this math a lot.
Lay it
And
out. You know what? On paper for me, JB. And then let's have
gladly.
a conversation about fucking Trump.
Get some
Yeah.
full
How did
scab,
that
couple
get
markers.
in?
Let's go. Well, hold it. Like Doug Ford wouldn't be the premier of this province had he not fucked with all the election rules and the notwithstanding clause when it came to advertising. If he hadn't hidden
And
ballot
if he hadn't
boxes,
got a majority of the votes
he
from the
hadn't got
Ontario
majority-
fucking population.
17.7% of the province put him there, dude. Like we are not a conservative province. We really aren't.
No.
He somehow was able to steal that election again.
Well,
and it
let's
goes
just
to
say
a
that the
million different
righteous
things.
left-wing assholes that should have been out voting didn't that day for
No, I
some
know they're big
fucking reason.
douchebags too.
Yeah, no, and Ontario historically votes the opposite of what the federal government's in play. So if there's a conservative in play, we usually have a liberal. If there's a liberal in play, we usually have a conservative.
That's how we do it.
I am going to when PP wins, and I don't want this. This is nothing I want. I just need you guys to be aware of something.
Yeah. What's
When it happens, I am going to be fucking insufferable for a long period of time.
So you know what?
You're
What's
going to be
funny is that
insufferable.
I wrote a couple of posts about him this weekend, just because he had another terrible weekend. The handshake with a fucking white nationalist, the
cares.
leader of a white nationalist extremist party. He's like, "How you doing? Nice to meet you. Good to
Hey,
have
buddy,
you.
old
I would
pal.
love
Good to
you
see
both,
you.
bud. Good to see you again." And so he had a tough weekend. But you know what amazed me is how many people hit me up with like, "Oh yeah, here's your fucking guy in blackface. How about that?" And I'm like, I get it. That guy's racist too. I told him, like, no one, I've never given him a fucking pass for the blackface stuff in my life. But I was amazed at that this weekend. Like the narrative that anytime
That's where
you take a
politics
strip
is
off
at
of
now.
Pierre Polievre, he has his entire crew, his cyber crew, the PP cyber crew. It's like, time to send out the blackface pictures. I'm like, dude, I love when you idiots do that because I point to the fact that, yes, it was racist to paint your face as a black person when you're white. I didn't fucking give him a pass. I think he's a dramatic weirdo, but he's not racist. What he did was racist. Pierre Polievre calling people tar babies and saying, no big deal in 2013. Now that's racist. And he weaponizes it to this day, right? Like but people think, and it's fucking amazing, they can't separate the idea. They can't understand it that I don't like Pierre Polievre and I don't like Justin Trudeau. Either of them. I don't like either of those people.
The frustrating thing
And
about
when you
having
take
any
a strip
political
off of
debate with
one of
people.
them, oh, dude, like you can't.
Yeah.
And when you do content, I was thinking about it today because I wrote a piece on Jeremy McKenzie and Pierre Polievre, and I included like liberal losers. There are lots of liberal losers out there too. Justin Trudeau is the number one guy, and then I posted an article that we did where we called him a national embarrassment, and I got hate from the Justin Trudeau people saying, if you're going to be standing up for democracy, you can't trash him. I'm like, bullshit. We should be trashing him for the dumb shit he's done. And he has been a problem. But my God, the next person that sends me anything for Pierre saying, what about your blackface prime minister? I didn't vote for the guy. None of us did. None of us did. We all voted for different people. But the worst part of this problem happens to be this greasy little fuck, Pierre Poilievre. So we're dealing with him now. We're not dealing with blackface. We're dealing with him. We're dealing with whiteface.
I'm terrified about the lack of good quality individuals in politics as a whole. I think that should be what all of us should be mortally concerned about that. And I think there's very few people that are running that we have a choice of putting into the. I do care a bit.
I know you do, but can I ask you something?
I do care.
I wanted to ask you this, and I want to ask everybody who's like a Pierre guy or a Trudeau guy or a conservative or liberal. When
I'm a Green Party guy
now.
now.
Government, me too. Or someone else. I'm a someone else guy.
I got to figure out who the guy is that's green now. Who's the green guy? When has
a change in government ever affected you materially to the point where you had to take action as part of a larger group? When in your life? Can you think of one? Can you think of a time when liberals left and conservatives came in, conservatives left, so liberals came in, which has really just been the revolving door? How has it materially affected your life ever? I thought about that this weekend because people were like, you're going to cry tears of liberal fucking joy when Pierre Poilievre is your prime minister. You cry those fucking liberal tears. I'm like, it's not going to matter. It won't. My life materially will not change at all. It'll get better and better because I focus on me. I do my stuff. I commentate on the fucking values and the principles of the people involved. I don't give a fuck what government runs this country. I don't care. Like, I literally, as much as I hate Bill C-11 and what they want to do to the Online Harms Act, this liberal government, in censoring literal free speech, if they do it, no, it won't, because I'll find a way around it because that's how I'm wired. These people seem to think that's the end. That'll be the end of everything if this guy gets in.
Yeah,
we're going to have a terrible existence. No, you won't. If Pierre Poilievre gets in, which he won't, I'll put $1,000 on it right now. $1,000 cold, hard cash that he won't get in. To be there. But even if he did, he can't do any of the shit that he's telling people he's going to do. He can't.
I'm seriously thinking about taking you up on your $1,000 bet here, but I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to.
I don't
want to make this about money.
Offer, but I'll give you a free trial.
Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah, give me a free trial to your own account. I don't want it. But you understand what I'm saying? Like when has a change in federal government presented you with, I think I need to move to a different country now?
Yeah, you have a good point. I think we will get to a point in the next 5 or 10 years, just based on where we're going and who's running, that we may end up in a situation where we are seriously questioning the people that are running our country. I think that's going to become.
Are you not questioning
bigger?
It now? I am.
But I mean, I think it's going to impact our day-to-day lives. I think PP will do damage to this country. I do. I think if he gets in, I think he's going to hurt us. And I don't feel that way as much as I don't like Justin Trudeau. I don't feel like, outside of some weirdness and him not being somebody that I would trust with anything in my life, because he just, anyway, I don't need to go down that path. I just don't think he does that much damage. I don't think he's allowed to. I don't think he does. I think he embarrasses us. And that's the bigger issue I have, is that I think outside of Canada, people look at us sometimes and go, why is he dancing around like that?
Is that the Bollywood guy? Is that the Bollywood guy?
I think it's a bit embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, but he's not a dangerous
If you watch any
guy.
coverage, any late night stuff, we become a bit of a joke that Justin's running the country. And I'm not talking from the Joe Rogan stance of, well, he's a communist.
I mean,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just, we don't have a statesman that other people outside of Canada look up to, and I wish we did. And I don't know who that is.
What about this guy right here?
At least we don't have Dennis Rodman going to Russia to get prisoners out of jail. So that could be worse.
The other thing I'll add to that too is, we're seeing PP right now in the environment of, running to be the conservative leader and going through a campaign to be the conservative leader. We haven't seen PP involved in an actual federal campaign, where Justin Trudeau has been through federal campaigns. Jagmeet Singh have been through federal campaigns. And those two individuals on top of the Bloc Québécois and the Green Party and individuals involved in it have been through a federal campaign. And PP's Conservative Party, when he wins the leadership, is going to be a totally different, that is new to this whole federal campaign. And I think Canada as a whole this is our first test of real, authentic populism taking over the conversation. And when Canadians get a little bit more involved in the political process, like in an election season, I think they start to raise some eyebrows and they're going to see the true colors start to come out. Right now, we're all talking about it because we're on Twitter, we're on social, we're seeing these videos and we're having a conversation. But then when, like, my mom, who's not politically involved in any way, shape, or form, and only gets politically involved when it's election time, when she's told to, starts to pay attention, and you'll start to see authentic Canadians' reactions to this. So we don't know what's going to happen. Right. And this is what I mean why he's unpopular in Ontario and Quebec.
Yeah, but tell your mother that she's going to have less money for bingo and she might be on the fucking PP train right away. Right. Like,
no,
I
know my mom very well. She's never voting for that man. Like, I know her very well. Right. But anyways.
So one of the things that we did this weekend to fight, because he's like the leader of the Christian nationalist movement in this country, de facto, him and Stephen Harper, de facto, leader of the crazies, Christian nationalists. We did a shirt for that.
By the way,
I don't know if you've seen it, but what a shirt it is. Right now, limited run, you can pick up a Hail Satan t-shirt in a multitude of colors at the Dean Blundell shop. Super simple. All you have to do is go to the store and grab your Hail Satan shirt. I think $25 to $28 will do it. You get it shipped to you. You can wear it. And it's in response, obviously, to the Christo-fascist movement in this country. And someone asked me about it yesterday. They're like, why are you scaring these people with this fictitious character that they hate so much? I'm like, you just answered your question. That's why I'm doing it. Because it's a fictional character that they hate so much.
You got to show the back of it. No. We're not done.
I know. I didn't take a picture of the back of it. It's with my face in the middle of a pentagram.
Apparently, Scotty's going to put one up with me on it.
Scotty's like, do you think we'll sell a lot of these? I go, you know what? For it to be a success, we only need to sell one. That's it. All I have to do is sell one of these T-shirts. Good news, everybody.
6 hours later, I saw the text. Hey, we sold a Hail Satan shirt. And Dean's like, I'm out.
That's my theory I had with the book. I just need to sell one to be thankful. It's a
smash success. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The Hail Satan shirt, dude. You can go to the shop, go to deanblundell.com. It's in front of the header. You can get the shop. And listen, is it selling like hotcakes? Don't care. Doesn't matter. No. You know why? We have the fuck merch line, which is selling like hotcakes. And if you haven't seen it, the fuck line is like off the hook. Not only do we have the Safe for Work FWADS Twitter t-shirt, we've also got the women's Safe for Work FWADS Twitter t-shirt. Obviously, in response to Mayor Diane Therrien, who's the mayor of Peterborough, telling all those crazies a couple weeks ago that tried to arrest her police service, all of them, to fuck off, and then she called them fuckwads. So you can go and get the shirt. Now, Locke, if I'm not mistaken,
feeling that was going to sell well.
We've sold, I think, a record amount of merch across this country this week.
Well, we sold a ton of merch for Alex.
Yes.
The Slava Ukraine shirts. And I was blown away. We sold, I think it took us about 2 weeks, because I talked to Scotty about this. I said, how long did it take us to sell that many Slava Ukraine shirts? And Scotty went back and looked, and he goes, I think it took us about 2.5 weeks to get to the number that we got to on the weekend with the fuck off fuckwad shirt. So it was selling. I got a text on yesterday afternoon from Scotty, and he goes, oh shit, dude, you better go deal with the credit card. So to get the account set up, to get everything for the merch, we had to get a bank account, we had to get a credit card, we had to jump through all these hoops to get this thing to work. And I just got a basic credit card, no fees, nothing, and it's a $5,000 limit. Well,
You had to
Well,
we had to go take money off that
because
card, put it into an account because
I don't
we
know
reached
how, I
our
don't know
limit.
how to
We don't want to talk
explain it.
dollar amounts, but we've raised literally thousands and thousands of dollars for this group called PARN.ca, parn.ca, which is a
And it's still
HIV,
selling.
AIDS, and
These shirts are
awareness
still
organization. And the shirts are fucking like every couple of minutes. It's like ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding. And you
That's
know why?
funny.
Because we attached like a great cause, and Diane was great, and so we wanted to make sure we got those shirts out.
You know, I have a
but you
theory
can-
on this.
I think we sold one in every province, every single province.
Amazing.
Well, and we're selling them in the States too, which is kind of
Yeah.
surprising as well. I do know we have some listeners from the US, but that one surprised me that they were buying merch. The thing that is interesting to me about this, and I've been working on creating some sort of merch to talk about I have this issue now that we've lost our flag. That if you're a Canadian and you're just proud, which I am, I'm very proud to be Canadian. As much as I complain about Justin Trudeau, I am in fact a very proud Canadian, and I love this country and I love our flag. I truly do. But I wouldn't feel comfortable putting a flag up on my car right now because of what that represents in Canada right now. It's been co-opted by this freedom movement that doesn't really fucking exist, and it bothers the hell out of me. So I've seen a couple of people send me some stuff, and we've shared some stuff, and nothing is really just nothing is really like jumped out at all of us yet that we're like, that's it, that's the message, because it's a little clumsy. It's like the original thought was we would just put the flag on our shirt and then have some kind of a saying like, I'm just a proud Canadian, I still love this country and this flag, but that's not catchy enough. I need something, right? I want something that sends a message. That statement from Diane to that group in Peterborough is sort of this subtle way of telling them, it's kind of like, if you know, you know, and it's this subtle way of saying, hey, fuck you. Like, and that's why I think it's taking off like it is. It's just this brilliant little thing that she did and said, and people are gravitating to it because it's this way of taking control back from a group that thinks they have control. Does that make sense?
No, for Sherlock. And for my merch, because I have
Don't call me Sherlock, please.
I have a little sheep logo, and I put different things inside the sheep. And I had a Canadian flag version of this, where I had the Canadian flag inside the sheep. And since the Freedom Convoy, I haven't sold one single shirt of that. Where I used to sell a bunch, which was a cute little thing for my merch line, and it was nice. It's Canadian flag, and it was fine. And I sold a bunch of them. And then the Freedom Convoy happened, and people didn't want to buy it anymore. It's
because I don't want somebody thinking that I'm part of this like fucking fictitious fucking freedom movement, right?
Totally, dude.
Yeah.
Because every time I see a bunch of flags on a fucking car, I know exactly what that is. I know what it is, and I know what it means.
I don't wear it, dude. I've got a Canadian flag shirt I wanted to wear on Canada Day this year because I usually do every year. Wear a little something Canadian, a little flag on my shoulder. I didn't wear any of it because I'm like, I want to be those fucking guys. Yeah. Because
isn't that sad to you guys?
Totally sad to me. Everybody really loves the Canadian flag. The Canadian flag's iconic. It just screams freedom everywhere.
Yes.
And these jackoffs have stolen it. They've misappropriated it. They've turned it into a terrible thing. Where I see one flying off the back of a guy's car attached to a hockey stick, he gets the finger every time. And here's the problem with that. He actually might be really like this country and want to be taking it back as well, which is why he's doing it. But in my mind, that's just the call of an idiot now. Is some guy with a fucking upside down Canadian flag on the back of his car, right? Or on his truck.
And to that point too is like we have that beautiful memorial in Vimy Ridge in France, and at the memorial there's a Canadian flag and a France flag to show the events that happened on that day at that location. And that's a memorial. That's memorializing the flag. That's talking about all these amazing things Canada did during the war times. And now I look at that and I go, okay, now it's a tainted image because of these losers that are driving around with it on the back of their lifted up trucks.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel bad. Yeah. And like France doesn't know this. So France goes there and looks at this memorial and thanks Canada and thanks the flag and, says their thanks. But meanwhile back home we're having an identity crisis over a fucking flag, and I hate it.
Yeah, it is.
I hate it.
I don't think that's overstating it. I think it is a crisis because I get sick to my stomach every time I see some jagoff driving around with fucking 9 flags on his car.
That's why they do it, dude. That's why they do it. They do it to piss you off. They do it to upset everybody. They do it to trigger people. It's the only reason why they do anything. These are the two people. We've talked about it. They think life is happening to them instead of like us. We just think life is happening and we just respond to it. So their response to that, because they feel like victims, they're all fucking victims. It's like, let's drive home the fact we're not having a great time in this country by turning the flag upside down or writing a swastika in the middle of the fucking, which is a new one that I saw in front of the Maple Leaf.
The whole U.S. thing is driving me
the
nuts
hybrid
too.
flag, the U.S. Canada flag.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how mad that makes me.
I'm all for having the U.S. as an ally. They're a strong ally for us. We need to be allies with them and work together as nations, but don't put it on my fucking flag.
No.
You have your flag. We have our flag. We can fly it together when it's appropriate to fly it together for whatever reason.
Yeah,
right?
They just want Canada to be as free as the United States.
No, it's a whole.
They
it's
want
a whole
the ability
movement.
to know. They want the the people that fly these flags. Super simple to me. They love America more than they love Canada. They watch a lot of Fox, a lot of Facebook. They literally think that they have a Second Amendment right in this country, which is hilarious because we don't have amendments. They're all stupid. The other thing that they really want is the ability to marry a child, like it says in the Bible, and they're not allowed to do that. The ability to steal from somebody. They want everybody to go to the same church and still get just as drunk on Friday nights. That's why they have these American flags. Because in America, you're allowed to be as free as you want. You can be so free in America, you can choose not to get vaccinated and shoot your neighbor for going on your lawn. That's what these people want. And if you look at America and how they live, and best case scenario is we would become an entire shithole country like the United States. That is what they want. They want to turn Canada into the world's largest landmass of a trailer park. That's what they want.
You know what? We had a story that Grant does these things on the morning show, The Locker Room, every day called The Grant Report. It used to be called Fake News with Grant Johnson. Mm-hmm. And he does these funny little stories. Today, he tied into the fact that Dennis Rodman announced that he's off to Russia to get Brittany Griner out of jail. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so it's always sort of a satirical look at something that's actually happening in the news. And he did this one story, and it was very memorable to me. And he had a funny line in it, too. I'm going to butcher it, but it was about these two guys down in the southern states. They were related. They got drunk. They put on a bulletproof vest and took their handguns out and took 30 paces and took shots at each other. And they both went to jail with a certain amount of injuries, like broken ribs and whatnot. And Grant's line was, I don't know why we put them in jail. We should have let them out. They probably would have taken care of things on their own, which is so true, right?
Yeah.
That, to me, is this idea of that culture, that life. Why do we have a group of people that pine for that? Listen, we're not perfect, but the States is a fucking mess. It's a gong show right now. And I know that that's not a representation of everything that's happening in the United States, but how can you think that what's happening down there is better than what we have here in this country? I have no idea how that's a mindset.
Every time I think about the terrible things happening in our country, or when this whole freedom movement was happening and still is, I go, man, this fucking sucks. And then I look to the South and go, all right, we're good.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
pretty decent.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I wonder what's happening behind this door. Oh, okay. Close that door and back to my other door that's on fire, but at least I can manage it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Before we let you guys go, just a couple of videos that we didn't get to today. We got the foot video. Locke talked about this guy that has his own foot, and he looks at it from time to time. And he's got a stump. We're going to have that for you. It's pretty gross, so I'm just giving you a little graphic warning because I pulled it off.
Somebody in the comments section said this doesn't exist. This guy had diabetes, lost his foot, and now does YouTube. He has a YouTube show where he shows, and I know someone related to this guy. That's why I know about this.
Is he Canadian?
Yeah, he lives in Saskatchewan.
I want to talk to this guy now. Get to the video. Before we get to that video, though, as a blogger, which is really all I am, Just a blogger.
You're a professional blogger.
Just a professional blogger. One
That's
thing
what
I'm
he
not.
tells ladies at the bar.
What do you do? I'm a blogger. Nice to see you. Yeah,
Come
that's why I'm
over.
single.
What are you doing Saturday night?
What do you do? You're so fun. I'm a blogger. Well, I'll never see you again. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm just a blogger. In Russia, vlogs are like big right now, right? Telegram, obviously the Russia-Ukraine war. This one lady was recording a vlog. Now, listen, your vlogs are fun. Never vlog and drive. Never
Vlogs are
ever
fun.
vlog and drive. Ever.
Добрый день. Всем тем, кого дал.
Jesus Christ. The best part is
Добрый день.
she uploaded that.
Всем тем, кого дал.
She lost her glasses.
Добрый день. Всем тем, кого дал.
I put that on our socials today. I put that on Twitter today, and someone's like, "Is she okay?" I'm like, "Geez, I never checked."
I don't speak
Why is
Russian.
that
I
so-
can't find out.
Play that one more time.
Добрый день. Всем тем, кого дал.
Just crashes her car in the middle of doing a vlog. And her head
That'll ruin
smashes
your
on.
day.
Oh, my glasses. She woke up right away. Here's
the
a foot
airbag
bag.
went off. That's so true, Stacey.
Did the
I love
airbag
that
go off?
video.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
it
the
did.
airbag go off.
It
Did it
did.
really? I
Yeah.
didn't see that. I just
Play
thought
it
she
again.
smashed
You
her
gotta
head.
play.
All right, hang on. I'll play it again. Here she is.
Here's Pierre Polievre's economic policy in video.
Добрый день. Всем тем, кого дал.
Oh, yeah.
Добрый день. Всем
We're
тем,
in
кого
trouble,
дал.
everybody. This is what's happening. This is the world that we live in.
Russia's finest, everybody.
If you guys aren't worried, I have a problem with all of you.
I'm not worried.
If you're not worried
Not at all.
about where we're at,
It's best.
I'm worried,
Um,
but boy, the content that comes out of being worrying is fantastic.
Yeah, we've never
okay, show the
learned-
foot guy.
If you can't get content out of this time in human history, you're fucking useless. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, here's the foot guy.
How
do you
did
know
this
his
come
name?
up, by the way?
I don't know. You started
Oh,
talking about it. in
I
the
was
middle
trying
of
to
our
make
interview
Dr.
with-
Vivian uncomfortable.
talking about the foot guy.
I kind of worked.
Do you know
I
his
don't think
name?
she's coming back, by the way.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I
she'll
do
come
not.
back.
Oh,
I don't
hold
know
on.
his name either. Let's get his name before we play this.
Did you see the look
So this
on
guy
her-
lost
of
his-
the horror on Dr. Vivian's face about 3 or 4 times while we had her on?
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
not
dude. I
coming
see
back.
that. I hang out with her from time to time, and that's how she generally responds to everything I say. Like everything. She's like,
Is that,
Okay, the
is that
guy-
a flex, or is that, are you like,
what's that?
That might not be the flex you think it is, Dean. If their reaction is the way she is, like,
Oh
appalled.
no, she thinks I'm an idiot. I think she just comes on for fun. She's like, I've never been on the low side of the tracks before. I'd love to come on your show. She's like, what's it like to do welfare
she doesn't
I
go
television?
to
don't
that-
know the guy's. I don't know the guy's name, but I'll tell you who he's related to once we get off the air.
Okay, here's the guy who uses his foot for show and tell, not attached to his body anymore.
And this is my foot. If you look down here, that's my stump. Here's what came off of it. This is the bones to my foot. Here's a tendon. Here's a long goosey tendon. This is the heel. And this used to be my bad leg. Now it looks better than what it was before. And just look at my cool toes. I can wiggle my toes now in my hand. And this is the bottom of my foot. Isn't this cool? It looks like I took a bite. Oh, we're bleeding. That's not good. We're starting to bleed, but that's okay. Well, look at all the juicy meat in here. This is my foot, and this is Don without a foot. Hello, good.
Don. His name's Don. I bet you wouldn't have taken me all day to guess his name.
How the fuck did you forget it?
I have so
It's
many
done.
questions. I have so.
He
What
had
does
diabetes,
This is my foot.
JB.
What
If you
does
look
it
down
smell
here,
like?
That's my stump. Here's what came off of it. This is the bones to my foot. Here's a tendon. Here's a long goosey tendon. This is the heel. And this used to be my bad leg. Now it looks better than what it was before. And just look at my cool toes. I can wiggle my toes now in my hand. And this is the bottom of my foot. Isn't this cool? It looks like I took a bite. Oh, we're bleeding. That's not good. We're starting to bleed, but that's okay. Well, look at all the juicy meat in here. This is my foot, and this is Don without a foot. Hello, goodbye.
He's got his own YouTube channel. And it's just all about his foot. Are you fucking me with me right now? Is it his own YouTube channel?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He puts it in the freezer.
If you asked me when I started watching YouTube when I was a teenager, saying, JB, there's going to be a video you're going to watch in August of 2022 of a guy holding up his foot and talking about how it used to be his bad foot when clearly it's working great for him now. You know, like, oh my
That was awesome.
God.
I loved it. I
What a
need Donnie on the
ride.
show. Can we find Donnie and get him on the show? Donnie the foot guy.
I'll talk to Grant.
Oh, is he related to he's related to Grant, isn't he? He is, isn't he? Is that guy related to Grant? He
Might
is.
be an uncle. May have been at a wedding this summer.
You met him? You met that guy?
I did not meet him. No, I did not.
Oh my God!
I'm just
we
saying,
gotta get
Dean.
You need to.
Dean
yeah, I need
wants
to interview
your
him
uncle
on the show.
on
Well,
the
who doesn't
on
want
the pod?
Dude, who doesn't want this guy?
And this is my foot. If you look down here, that's my stump. Here's what came off of it. This is the bones to my foot. Here's a tendon. Here's a long goosey tendon. This is the heel. And this used to be my bad leg. Now it looks better than what it was before. And just look at my cool toes. I can wiggle my toes now in my hand. And this is the bottom of my foot. Isn't this cool? It looks like I took a bite. Oh, we're bleeding. That's not good. We're starting to bleed, but that's okay. So look at all the juicy meat in here. This is my foot, and this is Don without a foot. Hello,
Hello, Don without a foot. I love Don without a foot.
The first thing, Grant must be listening because he just texted me. That's not my uncle, but he is related because for years now I've been saying on the show that Grant's uncle lost his foot and does YouTube videos with it. And every time I say that, he goes, "It's not my uncle." Oh shit!
So
Anyway.
wild, man. Wild.
That is it for us. That's it for us, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, all right,
really
boys.
appreciate it. When can we get him on? Does Grant know this guy? Does Grant, because I want to have Don with no foot on.
Dean wants your uncle on the pod.
Yeah.
I'll see what he says. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted.
All right. Appreciate it.
Boy, that's a
Forward to it.
tease for an upcoming podcast.
Don with no
Yeah,
foot.
tell me about it.
That's it for us. Thanks, JB.
Wow.
Appreciate you being here. SheepKing JB at SheepKing JB.
Good to see
you
you,
can find
JB.
him anywhere, including Spicy JB on OnlyFans. Go and subscribe. Have fun later, depending on what you're doing.
I got a show tonight, so I think an actual show, like one that I'm doing on the.
Oh, not a
right here.
Not a
Yeah.
helicopter
No.
show.
No, well, maybe we'll see. We'll see how many hot beverages will be
I have
consumed.
I have a
Yes.
question for you.
Yeah,
Do you know what the wristwatch is?
the wristwatch. No,
Do
I
you
don't know
don't?
what that
You
is.
clearly you don't know what the wristwatch is. Okay.
No.
Here's what I want you to try on your OnlyFans, and then get back to me on this and let me know if it works. Can you take your flaccid penis and wrap it around your wrist?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I might need a subscription.
All right, that did it. I'm in.
That was the selling feature. Just me going, yeah.
Can you do it around your bicep? That's the question.
No, I'm not. I can't
Get it all the
bend
way up
like
there.
that.
Do you have thin wrists? Because I have really thick wrists, and I can't do that.
Normal wrist.
There you go. Yeah,
Dean,
might
can
have
you
to
do
get
the
a
wristwatch?
I haven't checked. I don't have thick wrists.
I can't confirm that I
probably.
can do it. I'm just thinking because I don't sit here and try it every night to make sure.
Then you're a shower. I'm a grower. I like.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations.
Well, I'm
Just
glad we
makes
had
me
this connection,
uncomfortable.
Locke.
Me too.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks, Locke. At Locke and Cross on Twitter is where you can find him. 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. That's it for him. That is SheepKing JB. You can find him everywhere, all socials, including TikTok, Twitch. You got a show tonight here on the network and on
I
Twitch
do.
at SheepKing JB. What time does the show start, sir?
8 p.m. Eastern.
All right. We'll be watching. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. See you, bud.
Talk to you
Thanks
soon.
for having me.
SheepKing JB. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thanks to everybody for being part of the show. Don't forget you can sign up for a newsletter at deanblundell.com. And not done there, what you can also do is go and visit some of our sponsors. Our friends, really, Easy Auto Financial, helping people get into cars. If you got a bad credit rating, or if you need someone to do the work and you're just tired of doing the work and you're like, I just want someone to buy the car for me. I just need the help. These guys are ninjas. No obligation. Doesn't cost you a dime. Free financing. Yes, please. All you have to do is go to easyautofinancial.ca, sign up, and they will take care of absolutely everything. Again, no obligation. easyautofinancial.ca. Kivlaw.ca is always powered by our friends Robert Kivlikin, and his group of defense attorneys, professionals, legal geniuses, really. If you're up against it, you've got some legal issues or someone's trying to sue you, at kivlaw.ca. Again, you can go to kivlaw.ca or just email Robert at kivlaw.ca. Robert at kivlaw.ca. Kivlaw defense attorneys are here for you, depending on what you've done and how far down the road you are. They will take care of the things that you need taken care of because you are not a lawyer. Don't pretend you're one. There's a lot of people that run around out there going, I know the law because I watched Matlock. No, you don't. You don't know anything. Go to Robert. Get professional advice. If you're in trouble, did you do something? Didn't you do it? You don't want to give away your freedom. Go to kivlaw.ca for more information today. Again, kivlaw.ca, or just email Robert, the owner, Robert at kivlaw.ca, for anything. Any moving, nothing, whatever you got. He doesn't care. He just wants to help you out. And, of course, Ed's Fine Imports. Get his Gitch luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front. No big deal. Only the best pair of luxury branded Gitch with that pouch that you can ever wear. I can guarantee you will never wear anything as nice. Nothing between you and your denim that feels like this on the market. Trust me, I've worn them all. I was big into the pouch underwear as soon as it came out. Because it's like you want to put all your stuff in this little space, and it's got its own. It's like a tree fort for your junk. But it keeps everything clean, keeps everything fresh, keeps you free and easy. And the definitive underpant in the pouch market, it's got to be Gitch. Canadian made, GITCH3. That's your promo code. Go there, sign up. Make sure that you put that promo code in when you check out, and boom, he's going to send you a free pair of underwear. That's what he does. Clothing for men and boys at edsfineimports.com. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here on this very program around 3 o'clock. Leave you with the foot guy. Should I leave you with the foot guy, or is that enough? I think I've had enough of the foot guy. I don't mind grotesque, but I can only take the guy playing with his own foot, which has been amputated 3 or 4 times in one day. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.